200,000 licensed real estate agents in the state of Texas, Shauna Martinez is in the top 50, and she doesn't pay for a single lead. In 2018, her coach, Tom Ferry, stood on stage in front of 6,000 agents and bet her $5,000 she couldn't flip her whole business to a listing model by the end of the year. She went home, walked into 101 listing appointments in 3.5 months. She closed 34 transactions her first full year. Today, she walks us through her exact playbook, the seller conversion she uses to walk away from overpriced listings, why she pushes buyers into new construction, and why agents who don't adapt to this market and AI will be replaced. If you're a real estate agent or you're thinking of becoming one, this one's for you. Let's get into it. It's its own little algorithm inside that computer operating, and then I can message it directly on my phone,
like
and
an
then
assistant.
yep, like an assistant, and then it will go into Claude and do the tasks that I have set before. And there's definitely.
Do you sit there sometimes and watch it? Like, is it really cool?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's pretty wild to think that I like how much improvement I've been able to accomplish. Like, just I'll tell you this: if I didn't have AI, I would not be able to do everything I'm doing right now remotely. With everything we have going on. And
well, people are worried like that AI is going to take away real estate agents. I think it's going to change the game for sure. There's no question.
I don't.
But I think it's going to leave the agents who don't learn AI. I think it's going to replace them because they're not going to. It's like when people were supposed to start doing video and they didn't do video and then nobody knew who they were. And then, they're like, well, I'm not getting any business. It's like, well, nobody knows you. And you're not where the people are looking and things like that. Because now it's a whole new thing with AI. Because Google, you want to show up on Google, like you do your Google reviews, and that's important. But now it's not about Google. It's about showing up on AEO for AI. And I take a ton of AI classes and stuff because it's so important to our industry, like for me to be able to help our clients at a better level.
Yeah, it totally changed. We were in the process of trying to figure out our SEO, and then it was like, it's
overnight.
SEO overnight. I guess SEO is no longer. Now it's still important. There's a category too.
But with AI,
but the AI is, and that's the crazy thing is we were already ranking high on AI, and I was like, why are we ranking high? Like I don't even know why. Like why are we ranking high? And social media. It's just because we had a high content post, and so I was like, okay. So if I just increase, and so now. You'll even notice, I don't know if you guys have looked at the recent Google update, when you go into Google now they're linking video. Right next to search you have videos now, which wasn't there, just barely got added like a couple weeks ago. Well, I think it may have been added before that, but I think they mass released it not too long ago. And now when you click on that, it's going to list up, when you pull up, it's just a ton of social media profiles. So if you search roofing or you search realty and you're popular in the area, not only does it going to pop up videos, it's going to be you and your social media platform. And what's wild is Google's showing Instagram and Facebook. And
I need to go through and
not even
all my old videos and all my old posts. You know how you can go in and edit the captions, and I need to change all of that and add. I'm going to do that today.
I just have AI tell me.
We talked about this, but if I could just go in,
like I have AI tell me like what words do I need to use for I need to
I do the same thing.
Heavy AEO, all that stuff, and then so all my videos are like, it goes in with like the hook or whatever, and then like after it's like 10 or 15 seconds into the video, then I say if you don't know who I am, I'm Shauna Martinez. I'm here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or whatever, because that way it ranks whenever people are looking. And when I started changing it up, I started getting a lot more people reaching out saying that they found me on AI.
Is your AI running audits of itself for you every week? So that'd be the biggest encouragement I can say is that if Jesus remembers doing it for you. AI is great, and I was telling some of the guys that are on this cohort, or some I just call this group of people, and AI is like a brand new baby that knows everything in the world, and meaning it has zero common sense, and so you will tell it to do something.
Great way to put it.
And it's like, man, like I know you know what to do, you just don't know where to like direct it. And so
it's like the teenage son.
It just takes all the information in the world, and it could be like, so it's taking flat earthers' opinions, it's taking
that's
far left, far right, and it's all considering it the same information at base level, right? It's just information. It's just a number. It's going to process an answer. It's going to give you an answer based off what numbers match the best. And so you could get a flat earther's response to your question, and it's not what you want.
Yes.
And so what you're finding is when you input, when it when AI spits out an answer, you need to make sure that it's pulling from, and it's hard because in the beginning, it's going to give you nonsense. And so the first couple iterations I did, I was like, hey, this is our baseline. We're going to start with this. And I just kind of kept doing what I was doing until it caught up. And then I felt like, okay, it's studied what I'm doing. And then every time I would input the weekly results, it comes back and I'm like, oh, my thesis was incorrect. I need to adjust for this. And after you do that 6, 7, 8, 9 times, then you're actually pulling from, it'll help improve your, you're good.
He's just in this Apple Watch now, like, it won't shut up and I don't know how to turn it off.
So it will help your AEO by studying your trends specifically and what videos perform. What
for your industry.
Yeah, you just have to set it up and teach it what you want it to do. And then it'll give you, like, I have a monthly report for our podcast. I have our social media reports that are not monthly, I have weekly reports that I get, and it just saves them as a draft.
So we do that for our sellers, but I've never thought about doing that for my own social media, like doing an audit every week. Jesus did build me this tool that every morning I get into my email and it'll tell me like all of the synopsis from the day before and all that, like if I haven't returned an email or whatever.
So
and
I
love that.
I did the same thing, and it does the same thing, goes into my email.
I love that.
And it just shows us, it's a synopsis of all of our businesses online and what's going on with them. And what I need to do to like correct and fix it. And it's, which is crazy because I would have to go and look and check everything out. I mean, that's a classic example of how it saved me a ton of time. Yeah. Because it would take me.
But you also like suck a lot of your time too, like trying to figure things out. Like you can go down a rabbit hole and you can be sitting there all day and then you.
Oh no, we spent.
I've been sitting here for 7 hours. All I wanted to do was one task.
We also had a bot die.
Yep.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, my first one crashed on an update and I about cried. I was like, I got this one.
Because you spent so much time.
Bot. Like, and it wasn't that hard to do. Luckily, I was able to recover the skills, and it wasn't that big of a deal once I figured it out. But it created a massive problem for me. Where I was like, dude, I want to fix this now. Like, because I'm not like people out there. Like, I am not a computer person. Like, I mean, at one time I was, but it's been a long time since I have dove into it. And it's massively different.
Yeah, but he's tapped back into it.
Yeah.
So it's
like, he's still got the skills.
Yeah, he still has it.
So it's been good. It's been massive for a time saver, because what would have taken me legitimately an hour to kind of go through everything and have to keep track of it, and even longer if I wanted to put like a spreadsheet together. I don't have to do it the whole.
Now you can do it in like 2 minutes.
I can scan through an email and be like, okay, I need to address this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
Quick synopsis of, and I've already trained the model to study the results and automatically input them every week, and then it just creates a directive for the next week's ad set. And I just go in and approve it to make sure that there's no errors. And so I'm kind of lightly, and there's funny things, they have all sorts of funny ads that pop up, and I'm like, it's kind of weird. Like,
I keep a good close eye on it. Like, I have notifications set up, so every time we get a post, I read it and I fact check it, and then I screenshot it and I send it to him. I was like, this makes no sense. Here's the thing that I've noticed over the last month of us doing that. The fact that I go in and do that, he goes in and sends it to them and says, hey, this isn't correct. And now it's getting better.
Yeah.
And like now our posts are making more sense. Yeah. They're choosing the correct photos now.
Yeah.
So it's like, and now I'm going in and I'm uploading. So I just added 10 more photos today that I found. So we have a shared album because I have thousands of photos of different roofing projects.
I have
all
22,000 plus photos.
Same.
And you can use that as your memory database, and then it prioritizes. How I have our setup is that it prioritizes newest content first. Yeah. So anytime we upload something brand new, it's going to pull from that first, and then go back to the old stuff. I
was going to tell you earlier, but I knew you were set up for this. I uploaded a photo of the giraffe in our yard. It's going viral right now. Hey, you don't know about this. It's just went viral in the last 24 hours. There's a giraffe in South Texas that went missing. That went missing. Yes. How do you lose a giraffe?
Yeah. It was a full-size giraffe.
A full-size giraffe went missing.
And you even have like a headshot of it. It's like
and now all these people are like doing AI photos of this giraffe either in their car. Like the reward was only $5,000 for this giraffe. They're like, screw the $5,000. I'm keeping the giraffe. Yeah. So I uploaded a photo of this giraffe in our side yard, and I go, Kara, is there something you need to tell us? Did you find the giraffe? And then literally right as I posted that, someone on Denton Round Towners, which has 130,000 followers on it, goes, has anyone found the giraffe? And I posted that AI photo on there, and it immediately got 300 and something likes. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going. We need to do this for Repair Your Roof,
Yes.
like a giraffe on the roof right now.
I think I found your roof. It's right here.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, I saw the article where it said it went missing, and
This was just yesterday. They
Yeah.
actually found the giraffe
they
this
did?
morning. Yeah.
Okay. So everybody can be good now.
But they're like, this is the most Texas thing ever.
Yes.
That
Well, the
someone
only
in
thing that
Texas.
different would have been is if they lost a bull or something like
Right.
that. That would be very Texan. Yeah.
Well,
So this
Hope
shows
you
you
don't
how
encounter it.
Texas has the largest land for exotic species. We have more exotic species in Texas than the whole world does combined.
Really?
It's the
Yes.
it's the famous like Joe Rogan statistic that he says like 100 billion times, but it's why I have a large caliber hunting rifle because Texas has the highest population of tigers in the world,
Interesting.
and they're all in captivity.
I would have thought for sure coyotes, yes, but like,
all exotics.
Yeah.
Out of
Wow.
all exotics in the world, we have the highest
how is that possible?
because we
it's
have
legal.
It's legalized for private hunting.
Yeah,
Private
it's-
hunting
You
ranges.
can own exotic animals in Texas legally.
Just for people who want to hunt.
or even pets. So like
Pets.
you can have like
A cheetah.
There's like
I got a
Wow.
funny story for y'all.
there's tons.
When I was 21, I was living in uptown Dallas. It was mine and my best friend that I grew up with. We got an apartment together, and we were single. And we were like, "Hey, what would be really cool to have? Like, we had this aquarium. Yeah, I was like, let's get a shark." He was like, "No, let's not get a shark. Shark's like, let's get an alligator." And I was like, "Great idea." Bring girls over. We're like, "Hey, look at our pet alligator."
You want to see
So
that
we
alligator?
found one online and we ordered it. And we told the delivery company, call us. I will come home from work to meet you. They delivered it to the front office of our apartment complex. The ladies to make them sign it. It has this box and it says live reptile inside and it has holes on it. And we get a call. Are y'all trying to have an alligator delivered? And I was like, I'll be right there. They're like, yeah, go ahead and come in. We had to talk with office
That's gonna
management.
be against our policy.
We almost got kicked out of our
I was gonna
apartment
ask.
because of it. We had to send the guy back with the alligator, but we tried to have an alligator.
I was asking you to pay a pet deposit.
They're like, guys, this is like
Monthly.
and luckily the lady was really cool with us. And we're like, we thought it'd be a cool idea. We bring girls over to our apartments. We got an alligator.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, you can't do that.
It could be like your whole opening line, like you want to come back and see my alligator.
that's exactly what we were going to do. We were going to be in the bars in Uptown.
Yeah.
I got to bet you $100 I got a pet alligator. We take it out to the bar on a leash.
So you had to send it back.
Yeah. We're stupid 21-year-olds.
Yeah. That's a great
That's
idea.
my fear unlocked. My son always teases me about it. That's like that happened a while ago. In Houston, there was a tiger that got out, and a dude went out and had to shoot it. And then it's not uncommon to have tigers get loose, and so I always tease my boy, and I'm like, dude,
You didn't know
I
this?
don't-
Yeah, it's common
So
thing.
it's like my biggest fear because tigers are they'll kill you. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's a nice animal you want to run into in the
Yeah.
wild. Like they will
You
attack
can't just go
Yeah.
pet it.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have a 4570 just for my tigers escapes that happen in Texas, just in case. I keep it around, so in case I gotta hunt some tigers. But it's always
We had friends, well, not me. I went to school in Argyle, and they would always go on these like African safaris, and so like they had things in their home that were like made out of like elephant, like I'm not into that kind of stuff, whatever. So please don't come for me, or whatever. But they had like tables made out of like their feet and everything, which I think is crazy. But their whole house was like full of this stuff because of the amount of times they would go over there. And
it's a huge market to go on.
Yeah.
To do all that stuff.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think I've seen things online where people have these ranches and stuff like that where people can come out, and I just never thought much about it 'cause I don't
Yeah.
hunt.
They have high, so it's high fences is what they are on their exotic ranches. They have, I mean, they're what, 15 feet tall, 20 feet tall
That's
sometimes. Like they're pretty tall. Yeah, they've got to stop other animals getting in and out, and they're super expensive too.
Yeah.
They got to order them and breed them and grow them.
Yeah,
It's a massive
I would think
market.
it would be
It's a whole market deal.
Oh,
Like
I
it's,
bet.
I look so there was a few years ago before I had all my land in my ranch in Oklahoma. There was a place near it was an hour north of Waco, and like close to Hillsboro,
Mhm.
and I almost bought, and it was 320 acres,
Oh, gosh.
a high fence. But the thing is like I could afford to buy it, but I couldn't afford to keep it running because the amount of like taxes and different things you have to pay to.
You don't need ag exemption for that?
Well, you do, but there's like inspections that you have to pay for. They have to come out. You have to like dart some of the animals. They have to test them. There's all kinds of stuff that goes into that. So when I went to look at it, they're like, hey, by the way, this is the inspections you have to do. This is how much it costs. And I was like, I'm like, okay, I could buy this, but I can't afford to run this. Like, this is crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So
I never thought about that. Yeah.
It's a good segue into the business. So, so take a second to introduce yourself so that I'll edit it into the podcast, and then we'll kind of start from there.
So I'm Shauna Martinez. I was born and raised here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I came from the corporate world, got into real estate full-time 8 years ago. I've been licensed since 2014. My husband and I run our business together, and just through like relationships and figuring things out through a lot of mistakes that were expensive and very time-consuming, we just kind of accidentally built out, I say accidentally, we work very hard, but we kind of built out this amazing business that has carried us in places I never even thought was possible. And I have no idea what else it's going to do for us, but it's opened some doors for us that never even thought it was there in real estate here. So I run a top 50 team. And team, I mean myself and support staff. I run what's called a micro team. I'm in the top 50 in the state of Texas. There's over 200,000 of us licensed. I don't pay for any leads. It's all from, most of my business comes from agent to agent referral, vendors, past clients, social media.
Okay. Well, I'd love to, reading through your background, I was trying to look up, and I've known you guys. I've known Jesus for a long time.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, you have a ton of experience, and it's very interesting. I've talked to you a couple of different times, and I'd love to kind of just jump into where you're at currently in the market, because right now there's a ton of economic turmoil, and there is, high interest rates. There's fears that the housing market is a bubble, and that it's not a bubble, it is a bubble. And depending on what economists you talk to, it's out there. And then I remember talking to you when we were looking at the house you guys moved into. You had mentioned that you're doing a lot of selling for builders, and how that can, supplements versus going after existing clientele that are selling their houses. And so I'd love to hear kind of your current strategy for the market is to help other people out that are doing what you're doing to succeed.
Well, I'm going to say something that's very unpopular in our industry, because in our industry, it's list to last, right? So you're supposed to go after listings. But I will tell you, I think you need to be able to pivot when you need to. And so right now we're in a very buyer-heavy market. There's actually 50% more inventory than there are buyers right now. So houses that are priced really well, that don't need any maintenance done on it, that, when the product and the price match, it's going into contract very quickly. But when it doesn't, people have more options, and they're taking longer to put in offers. And so I would, if I could, I would focus 100% on buyers. And even more than that, I would focus 100% on new construction buyers that want to buy new homes. Because here in Dallas-Fort Worth, we're in a new construction mecca. Like all the pre-owned homes are competing with builders on every corner. It's like worse than Starbucks. I mean, there's like neighborhoods everywhere. Like in Texas, you have land, you will build. And that's kind of where we're at. And so the incentives and the prices that they're offering, plus the interest rates, like all of that things that drive your payment, it's way more, people are way more appealing to go to a new build than it is to buy pre-existing, just solely because of the cost.
How much are they buying down interest rates currently still?
Oh, it depends on the builder. Like, so D.R. Horton, I just sold one with a D.R. Horton. Don't come for me. They're the biggest builder in Texas, or the biggest builder in the world. But I've sold a lot of D.R. Horton homes. I think they're a decent builder. But they had a deal going that was 1.99% for the first year, 2.99% for the second year, and then 3.99% for years 3 through 30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, you can't compete with that. So my client bought, like a $450,000 house, and their payment's like $2,500 a month. Like you can't even rent a house for that.
No.
So that's the reality. So when I talk to buyers, even though I have listings that are pre-owned and they're harder to sell, like we're in a skill-based market for sure. COVID, if anybody even sniffed that a home was coming on the market, it got multiple offers. Yeah, right. Didn't care what condition it was in. People were buying sight unseen. Like I think the amount of people who bought homes during COVID and ended up hating it is astronomical, because they were just offer after offer getting rejected. So by the time they did get their offer accepted, like they didn't even really like the house anymore, but they had to go somewhere, so they ended up buying, right? Yeah. But you're competing with the new builds. You just can't. Like pre-owned homes, it's very hard right now. So even with our buyers, like I'm telling them the pros and cons of pre-owned versus new construction, and I'm even pushing them new construction out just because the numbers, you can't compete with it.
Yeah, and if you care about your clientele, you want to make a good financial decision.
Well, it also depends on like what their overall goal is too. Because like when I talk to people, I always say, what is your plan for this home? Like, this is their first home. Like, do you have a plan to like make this like part of a rental portfolio later on? Because here's the thing: is if you are going to buy a new build community, there's a lot of reasons why you should, but you better stay there. Because if you try to sell while they're still building out, and some of these have like 15 phases and going to build out for 20 years, if you're buying phase one, which is always the best place to get because it'll automatically get equity every time they increase the price point or open a new phase. But it's only going to work if you stay there. If you're trying to sell that house in 2 years, the amount of people that I've had conversations with that I never even went to their house because when I looked and saw when they bought the home and I would not take the listing is a lot. Like it's astronomical because a lot of people bought their house 2 years ago. Now they're trying to sell it. They have no equity or they're going to have to bring money to closing because home values even decreased in some areas.
Yeah.
And they just can't even resell it. And you can't rent it out because your payment's too high because it wasn't during COVID when you bought it. It was at 6.5%. So like long-term rentals are no longer a good investment either for that same reason. Like people are not buying long-term rentals anymore. They're buying.
Yeah, I've heard quite a few. It's funny. I think I discovered had I know what I know now versus 5 years ago, I don't know that we would have bought. Luckily, we bought in end of 2020, beginning of 2021. So our interest rate was fine, and I'm happy where we're like. I love our property. Like I absolutely love it. However, I do look at renting versus buying, and even in our case, I look at it and I'm like, man, really, I could actually go find a place similar to what we have for less money than I have payment-wise, minus podcast studio shop. I would not have that. Like it's not even remotely. So I have much. Yeah. So there's definitely like our deal worked out very well for us, but it's a very heard quite a few different people. Famously, Grant Cardone runs around whether you hate or love him, but I actually do.
Buy. He rents only. I
do agree sometimes with the mindset of like, hey, live where you want to live and rent, and then you go and buy investments like because you're going to pay for it. You don't have to cover your HVAC goes out. Like nobody thinks about the cost.
Stays low. All that stuff.
And so I actually have realized now like that's actually a fantastic way to look at it. And it's if you think of your life as a cash flow positive type deal, it's like, well, how do I create cash flow and how do I stay cash flow positive in everything? Yeah. You'll be 10 years, 20 years from now, you'll be able to retire very comfortably and stay, especially with insurance portfolio. So it's interesting to hear that. So how are you establishing your relationships with these builders? And is it clients that are still seeking you out, or do you get referrals? Do you have referral partners with builders, or how do you? So I
don't list anything for like the big mass builders. They usually do like Ben Cabrera or like he's like. If you look at his numbers, like he's the number one agent, but it's like this old guy that I don't even think he's in real estate anymore, but like they pay them like a flat fee to have them hosted on MLS and things like that. That's very hard to pick up builders like that. Now I do have a client who's a custom home builder. And so I do get like his flips when he, buys my sell. I get the commission on when I sell it to him. And then also when I turn around and I list it for him. So those are good, but that just came from for sale by owners so I built my whole business on doing the 100 listing appointment challenge, which I think I always like to bring it up because just talking about like agents and not knowing what to do when they get into business and things like that. So
the hunter lister?
The 100 listing?
100 listing.
Yeah. Okay. So when I got into real estate full time, I was through competitive sports my entire life. I was going to go to college and play, decided not to. It's a big regret. That's a whole other podcast later. But I got a coach because I knew I wanted to do well. I was the only income earner for our family, plus all the benefits. Like I had a lot of income to make up, and it's like we're in this 100%. Like I knew I needed to do well, but like most people, I'm here. How do I get to where I want to go? And so I immediately hired a coach, and I will say that completely changed my entire life because I ended up coaching with Tom Ferry. This is not a pitch for him, but like any coach, as long as they know what they're doing, they're a good coach. But the first event I went to with him was in front of 6,000 other agents. And at the beginning of the event, he gets the microphone and you can ask Q&A with him and actually talk to him. And so during one of those Q&As, they threw the microphone to me and I asked him, if you had a buyer-based business and you wanted to flip it to a listing-based business, what would you do? And he said, I bet you $5,000 you can't go on 100 listing appointments between now and the end of the year. It was middle of September. And so I only had until the end of December. Now I'd only had like 2 listings at that point because I'd been a part-time agent, still working in the corporate world. And, taking cell phone pictures, like doing all the things that I cringe at now because I didn't know any better. Yeah. And that's the thing in our industry, like so many people get licensed, they have no idea what to do and don't have a resource to like get that information, right? So coaching is also great for that because it takes the guesswork out. And so I literally went back and what's interesting is now I built all of my agent referrals from the 100 listing appointment challenge and, documenting that on social media. But what I thought was interesting is somebody asked this to me recently, and then I found out that a lot of people thought that. They thought that Tom Ferry was coaching me on how to do the 100 listing appointment challenge. And I said, no, I went home from that event and like had to figure it out. Like I had to check in with them every day and say I went on one of 100 out of 100 whatever.
Did you get the $5,000?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But it was
let's
in
go.
free coaching. That's the other thing. They did not stipulate free coaching.
But
I'm like, whatever.
they didn't hand you a check.
No, but I went on 101 listing appointments, and so I built it for sale by owner and expires.
I would imagine
So you had to go get 100 listings.
100 listing appointments.
100
Now there's another challenge he does. It's a 100 listing challenge, and that's a 12-month challenge, and even that's hard, very difficult. One of my friends did that and completely changed her life too.
That's still pretty impressive that you, from a conversation, and like you were like, okay, watch me.
Well, I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
And if somebody tells me I can't do something, I'll do it twice. Like I'm one of those people. Like don't ever people have what is the word?
Underestimated?
Yes,
Yeah.
my entire life. And so I feel like it's more my duty to make sure I show them, kind of thing. Yeah. And so, but that was the hardest thing. I mean, I've never done anything harder, but it changed our entire life. Like there's no way that I would be where I'm at now if I had not done that.
It's probably one of my favorite things nowadays when I run into people that underestimate me because I just kind of laugh inside.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
You have no idea.
We'll see.
Yeah. I'm very competitive in everything I do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so all my kids know that. Like we can't even play family games at home because I'm
Everybody
like, you're cheating, and they're like,
do you win Monopoly every time?
I wouldn't even play Monopoly because I would win. My kids would get so mad. Yeah. One time we tried to play one game with his brother, and it lasted about 2 seconds because I said he was cheating, and they were like, okay, we can't play. These are our rules. And I'm like, no, there's no our rules. There's rules.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but yeah, what was great about it.
Pole vaulted you into, I guess going out and finding 100 listing appointments, right? You cast a very wide net, and I'm sure you pulled in plenty of business from that. It probably opened your eyes to the process.
Well, yeah. So what's interesting is during that challenge, we ran out of money. Because what I didn't think about was all of the listing signs and all of the lock boxes. Those are expensive. The photos, all of that, right? And so we were in a market. This was pre-COVID. This was 2018 when I did this.
Okay.
And I did it. I did it, in 3.5 months. So that first year, I got into real estate in March of 2018 full time. And then by the end of the year, I had closed 34 transactions, and half of them came from that challenge. But here's the cool part about it is, one, it taught me what I needed to focus on, because a lot of times we want to do everything. And what you don't realize is if you just focus on a couple of things and do them consistently and well, then that's where the magic happens. And that really, if people are successful in our business, we do the same things every day. It's very non-sexy. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks it's this glamorous thing. And I mean, maybe it is if somebody has a videographer that follows them around, but most of the time I'm at my computer, at my house by myself, getting deals. Mm-hmm. And, but it taught me what's a money-making activity versus a non-producing activity. People will fill up their calendars and do a bunch of stuff. So it taught me basically the basis or the platform for my business to be what it is today. And I just do the same things. I just don't have to go on 100 listing appointments in 3.5 months.
Yeah.
I actually go on more than that now.
That's an important, at least for me, we had talked a little bit before the podcast started about, I had once been an entrepreneur many years ago, and I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't emotionally mature enough to do anything with it either. So, and then to come back to it with a strategy and an understanding, there's definitely a buy-off that occurs. So at least for me, there was a buy-off in the process of being an entrepreneur again, mm-hmm. where I was winning. And it's oh man, okay, this actually, I can do this. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then it's like someone just turns a fire up behind you, and you're like, just go out and keep doing it. And then when you see the fruition, the fruits of actually come to fruition, mm-hmm. it's oh man, and then it's really hard to stop someone.
It becomes addictive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mentioned this in our last podcast, but it's probably my favorite short that I've seen, where they I don't know if you've seen the video, but they take a spider and they put it on a table or a piece of paper, and they draw a black line around it. And the spider won't go outside the black line because mm-hmm. it thinks it's real. Mm-hmm. And then they continually draw the line smaller and smaller and smaller until it's impossible for the spider not to cross it. Mm-hmm. And as soon as it realizes it's not real, mm-hmm. it takes off. And then they keep drawing lines in front of it, and it'll never stop again. Yeah. And so the analogy is so perfect for an entrepreneur or someone who finds success mm-hmm. by themselves. Yeah. You realize, and my biggest takeaway from that is there are people that are going to constrict you. Yeah. Even as an entrepreneur, try. And they're gonna, and the more you try to go outside that line, the more they shrink that mm-hmm. influence and they try to control you, and eventually if you're either bend to the will or they're going to force you out, and once you're out, man,
The freedom.
the freedom.
Yeah, the freedom is addicting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's being in corporate for so many years in the car business. Right, I was like chained to a desk, basically running it.
Your whole job, yeah.
Yeah, I was captive at a dealership, and then getting into being an entrepreneur and doing the things that we're doing. It's just amazing. It's like a weight lifted off your shoulder. You can control everything.
In 2018, you start doing that. You do the challenge, and then you complete the challenge. And it sounds like a little bait switch. They gave you a $5,000 credit.
Yeah.
That's all right. So you talk about taking a groundwork. What was your next step, and what else did you do to push yourself forward? Because there are a ton of people that maybe don't live in Texas or don't understand. There are a ton of realtors in Texas.
There's 60,000 just in our MLS here in the North Dallas area.
And it's just crazy how many, everybody is a realtor. And so
the barrier to entry into our industry is way too low. I think they should charge double the fees. I don't care who you are. Don't come for me. I think if they charge double the fees, the people who don't produce would get out. And those are the ones that make the transaction so difficult. Because they don't have the experience, they don't have the knowledge. So it just makes it hard. But what was the question?
So the reason why I was talking about the amount of people is because you being in the top 50 realtors in the state of Texas is a massive accomplishment.
Yeah.
In fact, I would probably you're probably within a very handful of people in the U.S. that produce numbers like you do.
As an individual agent.
Yeah, as an individual agent.
Yeah.
And that's legitimate. There's not a lot of people who do this. And so I'd love to walk through. You got done with the 100 listing challenge, and then what was the next step for you to help in the learning process to continue your growth?
I had to learn how to actually talk and advise to sellers because the listings weren't moving. They weren't selling. So I had gotten 20 listings out of the 100 listing appointment challenge, which is not the best odds, right? If I were to go on those same listing appointments today, I would take 98%. I took 20% of the ones I went on, but that's really good for the one. I got it all in the fourth quarter of the year, which most people slow down and don't work in the fourth quarter, which there's so much opportunity for agents who do continue to work there. Yeah. But then they're all sitting, they weren't moving. And so I just remember being on a coaching call one morning with my coach at the time. And I said, I don't know what we're going to do. We ran out of money. We ended up having to sell our house and stay in the real estate business during that challenge, which a lot of people didn't know. But then after she talked to me about how to talk to sellers to get them to reduce their price, then they all went into contract. And then my business has been in momentum ever since. Now, I know it sounds very easy, and it's not easy because there's
it's hard to tell, especially residential homes. And we deal with the same thing in the roofing industry, especially when you get into the interior.
Yeah.
The one thing I love about roofing is I put the roof on. People look up at it and they're like, yeah, it looks good. And they're not walking up on the roof, looking at, there's this and there's that and there's this, right? Whereas in the interior of the home, there's a ton of emotion attached. And the sale of a home, there's a ton of emotion attached. And I know a lot of realtors that's specifically why they do commercial real estate and not residential because they don't want
I thought about strictly switching over to commercial.
So for you, what was the biggest lesson that you took away to be able to talk with homeowners to overcome that emotional connection? Or not, I shouldn't say connection, the attachment to what I would describe as I've seen it is a unrealistic price.
Oh yeah. Well, one, I figured out I don't take over listings. I don't take overpriced listings anymore. So here's the thing is,
choose your clients.
So the biggest thing I had to learn was to get confidence. I didn't have confidence. It was like, okay, you want to list it for this amount? Okay, yeah. And then, then I'm wondering why it's not selling, or, I'm not coming in as the authority. Now I walk into a house before I even walk into that house. I already know what it's going to be listed for. I know how we're going to market that property. I know everything about the buyer except for their name, thanks to AI. I come up with a whole 60-day marketing plan. There's no question I know what I'm doing. But if we bump heads on price, I'll say we're just not going to be a good fit. And, if that doesn't work out for you with another agent, feel free to give me a call. I'm okay walking away from a deal now. I know not every deal is a good deal, but I will say 100%, if I had to put a pinpoint on something that really had to happen for my business to be what it is today, which I learned from the 100 Listing Appointment Challenge, it was learning to get confidence through just being a student every day of what I do. It's literally our job to understand the market, the housing market, the industry, the prices, the rates, how to advise people. That's literally our job. And there's so many agents out there that are afraid to do that because they're afraid they're going to be told no or not be hired. I don't have that fear because I've done that. I've made that mistake. And then you're just it's just miserable because then you set these expectations or allow them to think these expectations that you're never going to be able to attain. And then when the home goes off the market, they're never going to refer you. You know what I mean? Like you're never going to get their business again.
Yeah.
So I just want my business on being honest. That's another thing is like I tell people all the time. I actually just got a listing yesterday and she interviewed multiple agents and one of the questions she asked was, well, what sets you apart from all the other agents I will be interviewing? And I said, I'm not afraid to tell you what you don't want to hear. And it's not going to be easy to list your house. Like it's going to take some work. And so if you're looking for somebody who's going to be a yes person, that's not me. And if you're looking for somebody who's going to ask you what you want to list the home for due to what you have into the home, that's not going to be me. You know, because people they think that everything they put into the home, they're going to get back out or they want to get back out. And so they're like, well, this is the price that I have to sell it for. Okay, great. When the number makes sense for that, I'll call you.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go put my sign in the yard and then spend time and money.
Yeah,
which,
marketing dollars, all this stuff.
Yes. And, and people, like, I learn to listen a lot more when I'm on appointments. Like, if they're saying, well, we'll just test it. You can go test it with someone else. Like,
what, for people that are maybe looking at doing a realty and understand the business side of it, right now in the current market in Texas, what is your average cost to list for a residence for sale? So if a client comes to you, you get the contract. Mm-hmm. What are you spending on average currently to get that to market?
So on average, I make less on a listing than I do on a buy side. So on average, I make about 2.3% on the list side, where I make over 3% on the buy side because of all the new construction with the bonuses.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
you're
for me,
spending 0.7, which is, I mean, I would think the average commission for you guys is somewhere between $15,000 to $25,000 probably.
Yeah. My average
Texas?
price point's like $560.
So you're talking 7%. Yeah. So you're kind of between.
Yeah. And that doesn't include labor for my team or any of that. That's just. Yeah, that's just the cost for staging, and because we do it all. We do the staging.
Are you paying up front? Are those fees attached to the sale of the house? Like, hey, does your stage? I imagine are you paying your stager? Like they come perform the task, you pay them to do it, or are they getting a cut from when the property sells, and you pay them then?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So staging, there's two different types of staging. We have one that's like a staging consult with the girl that we worked with for years. She's been doing it for like 20 years, and she comes in if you are living in the property. Because most staging companies will not put staging furniture in the property if you live in it.
Gotcha.
Which I understand because you're breaking everything else, right? So, but if you have a physical stage, so we call it professional staging. If they come in and stage like an empty home, there are some that allow you to pay at closing.
Okay.
And so when our stager comes in, we pay for it up front. So like this morning, I had 2 invoices come across for photos that got done on 2 listings that are hitting the market this week. We paid it this morning.
Gotcha.
So like we're paying that real time, which is another reason why I'm so big on protecting my energy and who I'm going to be working with and what house I'm going to be selling too, because there's so much cost associated with people don't understand. Like in 2023, I had 20 something listings at one time, which I don't like to have. And one day I just woke up and I said, okay, these people are not going to do a price reduction. These people don't listen to me. I started firing people in 2023 to 2024. In 12 months, I fired 52 sellers.
Wow.
And if you think about it, if I just put $1,000 into each of those homes, that's $52,000 that I basically gave up. But it taught me a very expensive lesson that I'm not going to take on clients like that or homes that I think won't sell.
Yeah, I remember talking with you about it, and I was talking with Jesus at Jiu-Jitsu about it, and he's like, "Yeah, we stopped taking new listings right now." Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I just checked this morning, and I'll have 16 listings after this week, and I'm just like, can they just go in contract already? So this market's really tough. Like it's much more buyer friendly than it is seller friendly. And I heard this a while back and I think it's very relevant is the consumer thinks that it's the buyer thinks it's 2008, the housing crash, right? Where they're going to get the best deal of their lives. Everybody's a distressed seller. Everybody's getting, foreclosed on. That's not true. People now have way too much equity in their home to be able to get foreclosed on. They would just sell it, right? And short sales are very short as well. Or you have sellers thinking it's 2021. And the problem is we're in between there, but you have mentality on both sides of the spectrum, and it's very difficult to get them to come together and be on the same page. Like even when deals get into contract, like over 60% of buyers are terminating. So that's just the first part, and then you may have to get your home into contract multiple times.
I just had a conversation from a realtor that called us out of the blue to that exact thing. It's like, well, they need to go look at this roof. They want to purchase it. The roof definitely needs to be replaced. And then I didn't hear from them. They're like, well, that's kind of weird. They were like adamant that I could get this taken care of. And I reached out to them and they're like, oh, the buyer's actually backed out because they just recently, it's that exact scenario that you spoke about earlier. They only purchased their home 2 years ago. Their interest rate's too high. They can't get out of the property what they want of it. So they don't think they're going to sell. So they backed out completely. That's like, oh man, that's sucks for the realtor having to waste their time. And that was kind of jovially joke with the realtor, but she's like, yeah, I got to find back clients.
Yeah. Well, you have to vet them better.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are like, oh, you want to go see a house? Let's go look at it. And then they're not pre-approved. They have no idea if they can even buy. They don't know anything about them. They're just showing up to these houses, showing people. And like, the thing is, like, here's one of the things I had to figure out as well that I teach other agents is we are not door openers. But agents are so quick to take time to go open doors and show anybody a house. And it's like, but your time is worth money. And when you start assigning your hourly rate and you know how much that is, that will change everything that you decide to do with your time. Like my hourly rate's like $800 some an hour. So if it's not $800 some an hour of activity, I either delegate it or I don't do it. You know, like I have an agent that shows for me.
I try to keep the same mentality for like, that's why I pay someone to mow my lawn. That's like, because it's like I make more, like if I just work. It's not worth
worth the amount of, I enjoy mowing our yard because we just moved to a house on a couple of acres, and so I got a 0-turn mower. And that's like, and it's so funny is people like when they come to our house, they talk to Jesus about it, and then he's like, "It's not even mine; it's my wife's."
That's
like
awesome.
no one is allowed to use that thing except for me, and it's like that's my happy place. Like for an hour and a half, I mow extra slow just so I have extra time.
If that's your therapy,
I love it. Like I just put on country music and I'm out there and I'm mowing and I just love it. But what's funny is I actually was mowing one day and Jesus is always videoing me because he's learned. Like if I'm doing something, video me because we can use as B-roll, right? So I don't even have to ask him. Like he's the best, not just the best husband, but like the best like wingman ever. My husband is, and I'm super blessed. But he took a video of me mowing and then I got all the way down and I looked back and I forgot to put the blade down.
So you were just riding.
So I was just like, but I didn't care. I was like, I could have done the whole yard like that and just done it again.
That's still great B-roll.
So what's funny is I put it on my social media because there's this trend, or there was this trend a few weeks ago about you're over here hating on me and I'm over, whatever. It's like you hate me and I'm over here doing this or whatever. So I put, can you imagine you hating me and I'm over here mowing my yard without putting the blade down? And like, it was
that's great.
I just tell it like it is.
It's so funny. At my house, I don't do yard work at my house. We have people that come and do it. But up at the ranch, like I want to go be on my tractor and go do that because it's like, thing. Yes, it's my therapy. It's like my wife's like, why is it that up there you like? And I'm like, because it's different. I don't here. I want to spend time with the family.
Here's like work.
Like up at the ranch, that's like my place.
We own property in Arkansas as well. We have a short-term rental there, and we lost a lot of money investing there.
Where at?
In Mena, Arkansas. My dad's family's from there, and so we started buying properties there. And it's an up-and-coming Airbnb market, so it's still not overly saturated. Like
you ever done the Talamina Drive?
By accident, and it was beautiful. But like after the 20 minutes, I was like, okay, I'm ready to be done.
At the other,
it was like an hour long out of the way.
At the other end is Talihina, and the mouth of that is at my ranch.
Oh, is it? So we drive right past it every time.
Buffalo Mountain. Yeah.
Oh, we drive right by it every time.
On 63.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side, you see that west-facing slope? That's my ranch. Right
oh, nice. Yeah.
I also have.
My brother lives in Talihina too.
Does he really?
His wife does real estate there with me at Real. Yeah.
Who?
Chad Knoll. I don't know.
Yeah.
You do?
Yes, I know exactly who Chad Knoll is.
So he's my stepbrother.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, small world.
And his wife Hannah does real estate, and she's with me at Real.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. They actually have a property. They owned an apartment complex in Denison, which I'm actually doing an off-market deal with now with the person who bought it from them. So then he hired me to sell it, and so we're in contract to get that done. Hopefully. Cool. Yeah. So small world, huh?
Yeah, small world.
But it's beautiful. But it's like when we go there, I'm a completely different person when we're out of Texas. And so I go to therapy, which I think is amazing. I think everybody should go to a therapist if you have time. But we did it out of necessity. But she asked my husband, like, well, how come she has to wait to go on vacation or out of town to be able to be fun? And he's like, because otherwise she's working. Like if I'm anywhere close to home, like staycation is not a thing. Like I will be working. I've actually worked on every trip we've ever gone on. But when I go to Arkansas, it's like we have limited reception and stuff, so I can't do as much. And so it's like, okay, like, but you're right. Like you feel completely different. Like a different version of you comes out.
Well, when I go up to the there's some places I don't have reception up there, and it's like
kind of nice and amazing.
Well, I catch myself because I'm addicted to looking at my phone and email and stuff, right? And social media and all that stuff because I work off of social media. My network has come. A lot of our business comes from social media.
Well, you do very good at it. You're very good on social media.
So I notice when I get up there, it's like, oh, well, I just put my phone away because I can't even check it. It's not updated. It'll take too long and then I just get frustrated.
At first it gives you like a little bit of anxiety because you're like,
but then
and later
all of a sudden it's like this like relaxing deal.
So I went out of town this past weekend to go to New Mexico for my mom's family reunion, and I hadn't been there in like 12 years. And when I came back, I had a therapy session yesterday, and I was talking to her, and she said, she goes, I don't know what's going on, but like, this is a whole, like, you're not, like, I'm by nature an aggressive person, but not like in a mean aggressive way, but like, I'm just an aggressive person. And my personality is that way. I talk like that and everything. And so she's like, your demeanor and everything is like so chill right now. She's like, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. I think I just had a few days off, and I legitimately did not work. I actually told my clients I'm going out of town for a few days, which is like the cardinal sin. You don't do that when you're in real estate, right? But it's the thing is like everybody in our perception of our insurance is to be available 24/7. And I'm sure you probably feel like that too, especially when there's storms that come through. We're expected 24/7.
He's better about it. Like he knows how to unplug. I don't. I consider myself emergency response.
Yeah.
It's stressful though. Like unplugging is
so stressful.
Because like I can only do it for so long, and my phone goes off too many times. I'm like, okay, I can't. Like I can't keep doing it. And so it's hard because at the end of the day, if it's either me or him, and if one of us isn't answering it, then it's
And the thing, like we know each other well enough now. We've been working together for a long time now. It's like I know like what he's doing on the weekends, on Saturdays or Sundays. If stuff comes through, like I'll handle it. Like I have no problem handling it, and I'll just get with Kyle like later on, like early Monday morning. If it's like 9 o'clock on like I know what he's doing. Like I'm not gonna mess with him.
Yeah.
So it's like, but then there's stuff that I do during the week, and he's like he handles it. So it's a good yin and yang and balance. But for me to like disconnect completely or tell someone, hey, I'm out of town is like
it's really hard for realtors to do that because people just want you to be available when they want to see a house no matter what. And it's like the same is if you want to get super busy, like plan a vacation. Well, I stay super busy as it is. So then whenever I do plan a trip, then it's like I'm trying to get in like 6 appointments the day before we leave. Like I was on the phone trying to make an appointment to go do a listing appointment at 8 p.m. the night before we left. And we were leaving like at 6 the next morning, and I hadn't even packed or anything. You know, it's like I can pack in like 2 seconds, but that's the reality. And like I'm trying to get as much as possible. But I was always afraid for the longest time when I didn't have confidence and didn't know my value and my worth. I was very nervous about I actually wouldn't tell people when I would go out of town or if I wasn't going to be available.
But that's also a blessing of your industry is you can go on vacations and still work while on vacation. You can work from anywhere.
It's great on the business side. It's really bad for on the family side.
Yeah.
Like, so Tom Ferry had made this.
4 kids.
Yeah, I have 4 kids. But, you know, they pretty much raise themselves at this point. And Jesus' job basically is like just to keep the humans alive. And he does an amazing job at that.
He does.
He makes them mad egg, you know, he's very good. But,
alive.
But like, so Tom Ferry had said, he goes, he said it to me I had a one-on-one call with him. I had one day and I was like, how do I get this? But anyway, and he was late, so we only had like 15 minutes. It was fine. But he said, it doesn't matter how successful you get is it okay? If your home life goes to shit. Yeah. And I was like, that's so true. And that's what happened to us.
Same.
I was so focused on work all the time that like I missed out on everything with my kids.
It's a hard one to swallow from an entrepreneurship, but it's and I conversated this morning with my wife about the same thing. Like I was working last night in my computer room editing a video to get it out, and I was in there till 11 o'clock last night, and doesn't go well. But I try to tell myself this every time, but no success in life is more valuable. No success in life is more valuable. And that's the saying now. That's the saying now that I'm trying to tell you guys.
I don't know. We're on like Pennsylvania.
Okay, no success in life is worth failure though. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you fail in your home life, it doesn't matter how successful your business is because it will. And I have plenty of people I know that are very wealthy and have.
You talk about therapists. Like my first year that me and my wife were working together, Kyle was my therapist because I had a very hard time. Like my wife I was very hard on my wife about getting certain things done. Mm-hmm. Our biggest argument to date, like ever, was over the coloring of a spreadsheet. Right. And I was like,
about the coloring of the spreadsheet.
It was like top 5 fights. Like I could count, like, you know how you've had those fights where you can remember, like I remember, and I was like, she was dead set on this and I was dead set on this and neither of us were moving. And I was like, she had just like quit her job and worked. And I was like, if you were an employee, I would fire you right now, but you're my wife.
I have actually fired my husband. I'm not kidding. And he'll come back like 2 days later and be like, because he's like, what else do I do now? And so he's like, can I come back to work? And I'm like, yes, it's fine. Like, I just, I'm surprised it took you 2 days to ask me.
A quick, honest request. This podcast doesn't have sponsors. There's nothing we're selling. No ad you skipped. We pay for everything ourselves. If this was worth your time, the smallest thing you can do is hit subscribe. Takes 1 second, costs nothing. That's the whole ask. Thank you. See you on the next episode.
If you were a realtor and, you have us, right? So you don't need to know anything about roofing. So you just call Kyle, and we just show up for you, right? Yeah, but if you were at a brokerage, like this is Keller Williams Frisco Star. Pretty good group. Love them to death. But if you were in one of those classes, what's something that you would think would be valuable that I could coach or train them on?
Oh gosh, regarding roofs?
Well, something that is going to help us capture more realtors like you to be our referral partner. Because what I'm doing, everybody goes in, every roofer will go in to these presentations. They give the best customer service 24/7, same day, right? Like everybody does that, right? Like I think the barrier to entry is good customer service.
100%.
Like if you aren't offering good customer service, you don't need to be. Like I'm going to do that. So I started going in and doing the education classes to set us apart so that realtor could leave there with more knowledge instead of me selling them on me, right? Like
our only purpose in these is literally we want, I think I talked to you briefly, no, it was Michelle, that would be a good question to talk to you today as well about putting together an event where people we want our realtors to actually find value in the conversation, not like a sales
I want to just sell. I don't want it to be a sales pitch.
So I find a lot of value in having the pre-listing inspection on the roofs. Like I think the more proactive you can be, the better. And so I do that on every one of my roofs, which is good.
So yes, and which is great. I talked to a realtor that is a good referral partner of ours. You actually went and did an inspection for them yesterday. But when I was asking him about that, I was like, hey, why aren't you having me do this more? Because I know they have, their whole family does it. It's his brother, his sister-in-law, his mom, his dad. And I'm like, why don't you have us do more of these pre-listing inspections, dude? Yeah. Like what am I, close friends?
Yeah.
He's like, to be honest, he's like, you point something out, I have to tell them that. Like I have to disclose that. So I don't want to know.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
but then,
then you run into the problem at closing.
Well, not just that. Are you even getting it to closing? They're going to have an inspection. They're going to find it anyways. Right. I come from a place of I'd rather us be proactive and know the information than to have a buyer come and tell us something that and it'd be the first time we're hearing it.
I agree.
Because of course, if it does need a new roof, that takes time. You have to go with the insurance company, all that stuff, right? So if it's going to be like a 2 or 3 week closing, like you have to be on top of it like that to make sure the roof gets on for closing.
They also take a lot of listings, which is something that you being a top 50 agent, that kind of sets you apart. Right, you've already learned the mistakes of taking all these listings. You want to be ahead of the curve, and be well educated.
I even think pre-listing inspections should be a thing because again, you don't want the inspection from the buyer to come and show you things that are wrong, and that's where most people will lose their money. That's where most people will have terminations on inspections, and especially if I walk into a house that kind of looks like it has. You can always tell when you walk into a home if it's been maintained or if it's not maintained, just kind of by the way they live and stuff. And I started to get
front yard.
Usually, and so I think I'm probably going to end up making it where I ask sellers to have a pre-listing inspection, and then they can fix the things that they want to do before we actually go active on the market. And the reason why is because one, that way they already know what's going on in their home. Now you bring in 3 inspectors, they're going to catch 3 different sets of inspection reports, but overall you're going to know the major things, right? And then you can choose to have them fixed, because here's the other thing that people don't think about. Once you get in contract, they're going to ask for a licensed repair person to do that. So let's say you know how to do stuff, you're not a licensed plumber, but you know how to do plumbing. And then something comes in and it comes back as a plumbing item and they want a licensed repair person, and you're like, I can fix that. doesn't matter if they have it as a licensed repair person and you signed it, you now agreed to that. And now it's going to cost way more than
but
it
if
would.
you get it beforehand.
And for people that don't understand, that's an 80% price difference.
Yeah,
But
it's huge.
So we put home
That's
warranties.
super
We put
smart.
home warranties on all of our listings with seller's coverage. I know people are like, I hate home warranty. First of all, then you don't have a good home warranty, because we do. And because of the production I do, I have a lot of leverage with these companies, because like, if they don't want to pay out on something or handle something, it's like, if I say, well, then maybe I need to be looking at a different inspection company, then, oh, no, all of a sudden they're like, we don't want you to do that. We'll make it right, do whatever we need to do. But we do that because when the inspection comes back, it'll cover things like the plumbing, electrical, appliances, stuff like that. And it's like an $85 charge to the owner, like the seller. And that's it. And they fix it or replace it. It's done by a licensed repair person. So it suffices that item, and it's way less than if they had to hire somebody outside of that.
Interesting. So shortly, we can already offer a warranty, but we'll be able to offer a pretty good warranty.
Yeah.
That's what we've done, is kind of set ourselves apart in the roofing industry. Is there are new shingles products that are coming out, and you have to go through a bunch of training and certifications and stuff to get under these manufacturers' good graces is the best way.
Yeah.
But then they allow you to a roofing company to extend a warranty. That now there are other roofing companies out there that can do it, but not that many.
Yeah.
Especially in Texas. I mean, the chances of me going to another roof where another contractor has the ability to do what we're going to be able to do is very small.
There's
So,
only two.
yeah. So
Well, it's interesting. You should always tell an agent if they know what they're talking about when it comes to roofers, when they say they need a licensed roofer.
yeah.
Because in Texas, you don't have to be licensed.
Yeah.
And so there are people who are licensed, but it's
Well,
very rare. I guess.
So yeah, and I educate realtors on that. There's a license, but it's a pay to play deal. It's a deal that was it's a group of roofers that created this, and then they like tried to say it's a license. So what we did is we all went out and got our adjuster's license, which is governed by the state and governed by TDI, Texas Department of Insurance, right? So I have an actual adjuster's license, and I'm like, hey, just so you know, I can talk with your insurance company like this. Now, I can't be the adjuster and the contractor. That's illegal. But I've gone through the same course. I've done the same training. I've done the same 150 question test as all the adjusters and all the insurance companies have out there. So that's what like sets us apart. And I went and did the week-long class and the test. Both me and my wife did it. We had to get a babysitter for the whole week just so that I could give that to my customers as a value.
Yeah.
And to realtors, I'm like, hey, I'm not just a roofer. Like, I have this licensing. Ask your other roofers if they have this licensing.
Yeah. Because to consumers, it matters because they think it matters, those types of things, right? So like, it's like when people say, oh, I got my broker's license because I needed to. I never once thought I needed to get my broker's license to get it, because one, I have no desire to be a broker. But I will tell you, I was a broker in Arkansas because I was dual licensed, and to have a team there, you had to have a building, you had to be a broker, you had to have your broker's license. So I got my broker's license, and then we stopped selling there. But it's interesting because when I would tell people, well, I'm also a broker in Arkansas, then it's like, oh, you're a broker. But most of the time they don't even realize people aren't brokers. Because like California, I think everybody has to be a broker, right? I think New York maybe too as well, but like in Texas, you don't. And I know a lot of people who know a lot about real estate and are not brokers. I want to do it just for the extra education, because I do think it's important to be a student of our craft, because it's constantly changing. And I think that's where it sets me apart from most people, because when I talk to people that have talked to other people, they'll say, the conversation with you is so much different than somebody else. They're like, you can tell you know what you're doing.
Right. That's because you're a student of your craft. Is there other classes that you've taken? What do you give credit to for that? Is it a particular course? Is it just the, like you mentioned earlier, the meticulous day in, day out process of the education? What gives you the knowledge base that you had in learning good classes that someone could reach out and take?
Yeah, so I take a lot of my classes through Champions School of Real Estate. That's also where I took my license class, because they have the highest pass rate, but they have some great classes out there. So what I did was I have a small business group that I had at the time, and then I started a new one now. And whenever they changed the way the commissions were going to happen, which was in 2024, which we're no longer pre-negotiating, or you're not supposed to be pre-negotiating the buyer side agent's commission now. In fact, the new contract's coming out, it doesn't even have a space for that in the contract, which is about time. So they have to negotiate it directly. But what's interesting is I asked my small business group, I said, if you were to hire an agent that you might have to pay their commission out of your pocket, what is it that you're looking for in that agent? And across the board, they said, I want a strong negotiator. And I said, okay, bam, that's what I'm going to do. So I went and took a certified negotiation class and learned how to be like a master negotiator. And because I listened to what they said was important, and I'm like, okay, but these are consumers. They will, so I went and did that, and that's been a game changer. But just I'm constantly listening to stuff. I'm constantly watching things. I learn stuff from people all the time, and I take it and implement it in my business. Like we were talking about AI earlier, right? There was this girl that I watched on TikTok, and then she was a guest on my group. But she was talking about how before you change the price on a listing to try to get it to move, try these other things first. And it was like changing the description, changing the photos, like all these different things, like just like the order of the photos and stuff like that, which we change the photo every week anyways. But I was like, okay, let me see if this works, right? So then I started, and then it was about adding blog posts with the SEO and AEO words and stuff. And I had a listing that was probably 45 days on the market, had pretty much like kind of went stale. It was a single dad who like didn't keep the house kept up like he was supposed to and stuff like that. But we didn't change the price or anything. And I took her advice, and I went back to my team. I said, this is what we're going to do. And we did it. And within an hour of making those changes, we started getting showing requests.
Oh, wow.
And did not change the price. And I learned that from TikTok.
That's awesome.
And I took it and implemented it. Same thing like during COVID, everybody was having trouble getting their offers accepted, right? Well, not me, because I came across a video on TikTok where this girl was talking about how she was offering bonuses for her buyers. Like, so let's say the buyer's going to offer $1 million for a house, but it's listed at, 800 because in COVID, everything was going over. Then her advice was, we're going to go 100,000 over and offer $100,000 bonus to the seller to accept your offer by this time. Because what they were doing is they were waiting for every home to go into multiple offers, and then the seller was going through like 50 offers. But what happened is agents were getting lazy and waiting because they knew every house had a deadline. So they were waiting till like Sunday at whatever time to submit the offer. So we said, no, let's use this to our advantage. So we would be like the first showing, first offer, and we would put that deadline in there for the bonus. And we were getting offers accepted left and right, no problem.
That's awesome.
And it's stuff that I learned. So I learn from other people all the time and take it and implement it.
Well, it's such a smart, like social media has been a game changer for us in the last couple of months for sure. And it'll be even more so in the future. But, so it sounds like you answered the question pretty well. Like, in other words, you need to be a constant student of the game. Mm-hmm. And if you're not,
I'm obsessed with my business.
And we talked about AI in the beginning, replacing, like you mentioned, the people who are afraid of being replaced by AI. I don't really think there's ever either adapt in life or you die. Mm-hmm. It's nature, it's science, it's everything. Yeah. So I really don't think that AI is going to replace as much as people think. But what I feel like is going to happen is you're going to have a lot more management of it. Like, so someone like yourself is going to be able to accomplish way more. Mm-hmm. But it still needs a human touch. And this is what I tell people. The reason why they call it artificial intelligence is because it is in fact artificial. Yes. And until it comes out with an intelligence, which I don't know, I mean, who knows what the capability is. I'm a little bit more of a pessimist when it comes to people's faith in artificial intelligence and what it's going to become. I just think that
we should have flying cars by now, right? I mean, so Back to the Future tell us this already.
Right. Like, if you talk to every different guru out there, it's like, oh, we're 2 years, oh, we're 5 years, oh, we're 10 years. It's like nobody really knows the answer. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to worry about things I can't control.
Correct.
Like I'm gonna use AI. I'm gonna implement it because it definitely needs to be implemented. Yes. And what's wild is there's maybe, I would anecdotally from the companies we talk to, the business owners, you are one of the few that's actually using AI.
I use it every day, all day.
So you were talking about how you change your descriptions and stuff. Have you ever heard of ZMOT?
I don't think so.
You need to read the book, Zero Moment of Truth.
Okay.
Okay, so there in marketing, there was something called the first moment of truth. Okay. And that's when someone walked into a store and they looked and they would go down and they used, you can take hand sanitizer or laundry detergent is what it was used in the book, I think, as the example. And you look at all the branding, right? That's the first moment of truth. What is setting them apart, right? Like their labels and how they branded everything, right? And Tide was a big one. Yeah. And they talked about how they set it apart to choose their product over this product.
I'm wondering how that would do in this market now when, people are searching $500,000 to $700,000 because they're looking at everybody's backing into a number based off of a payment calculator. Correct. Right? They're like, okay, I can afford $4,000 a month, right? Or I can afford, $4,000 to $5,000 a month. So they look at these buckets, right, of what housing. So I wonder if there's a house that sits on the market for 45 days, and instead of dropping it, below a certain number, if you put it at $700,000, if it opens up.
Yep.
So that is a great thing that you brought up, because that's how I price my properties. Because this is how I talk to sellers about pricing, because they're always like, well, what about $499? I'm like, well, one, we're not Walmart. And two, I said, people are looking in $25,000 increments because that's how Zillow and Realtor and all
you do that.
Yeah. And so I only price in the $25,000 increments. So if you see one of my listings that's under $25,000 increments, because we've done a price improvement, because every house starts out on the $25,000 increments for that reason, because when people are looking on Zillow or Realtor, ask them in $25,000 amounts, and that way your views are higher.
Right.
Because if you have, because here's the other thing is, I've never seen anybody do a pre-approval to like $499.
No.
Or you know what I mean? So I always tell people that too. Yeah. And nobody's setting up a search that way either for their clients. Mm-mm. So you want to make sure you're hitting those, or you're going to be missing a big bucket of people. And here's the other thing is, let's say you're doing $499 instead of $500. You are now also risking that somebody that's at the top end of their budget too.
Right.
And so, they may be harder to get in contract and stay in contract because they need more money from concessions for negotiations or whatever. So I always talk to people about that. And then when it's interesting when I say, because when you go on Realtor.com or Zillow, which is, the biggest search engine site for homes, it asks you in 25,000 increments. They go, oh, that's right. It does.
And also, if you're getting someone right at the top end of their budget, that house is probably coming with, and it's checking more boxes for them than the other end, right, of their budget. Yeah. So they're willing to do more things, or maybe that seller's willing to do more things because there's that common ground. They're like, hey, I'm paying a little more, but I'm getting this, this, and this, and this.
But people think it's like the psychology of it, right? But here's the thing is, what I notice is that really only pertains to ones that are like more luxury pricing.
Okay.
Or like the lower end buyer, like if you're under 300, which is
right.
almost impossible to find a house under 300.
Right.
But let's say it's like 299, then but the one like in the middle, like anywhere from 300 to 900, like it doesn't really make a difference, like it's on the psychology of it. So like I price in the $25,000 increments for that reason.
I had no idea. So when I
didn't know that's what it was called though.
It's called flat based pricing. So when I did that in the car business, instead of putting an Ultima at 15,900, I put it at 16,000. Mm-hmm. We saw a 20% increase in our sales literally the next month. I had to write a report on it to Berkshire Hathaway Automotive. Like I had to do this whole deal of time to market. So time to market was a huge deal, and I actually associated so we used a system called vAuto, which was actually started out as a realtor system of listing houses. So people would go in and put their photos, and they had and they put in their 40 photos or whatever it was, 42.
But you don't need 40 photos, by the way.
And then you had a description, and then you had boxes that you had to check for like trim levels, for like heated seats, and all these different things. Well, there was a time to market, so the third-party websites would pull from your website or pull directly from this system, because we had
like MLS
APIs that would do that. Well, if you didn't have all those things checked, your listing went at the bottom. Mm-hmm. Where if you developed a time to market where you had your photos, your description, your trim, your pricing, and all this stuff, it all went out at the same time, so you would be higher up.
Yeah.
If one of those things was missing, it'd go at the bottom.
Yes. So it's interesting. I just had the same conversation with my dad, because he's selling his house in Arkansas and moving back. And he had me look at his listing, and I started looking at it, and I was like, well, first of all, you have to go through 7 photos to get to the first interior photo. Like, let's get rid of that, right? So I started going through all of that. But we just had that same conversation, because he's like, well, every time I get on Realtor, he's like, I have to go 7 pages till I get to my house. And so I said, no, Dad, it's because there's like an automatic filter. He's like, I didn't do the filter or whatever. I love my dad. He's like, you can't tell him anything. And so I'm like, okay. So then after that, I sat at my computer to look up his listing, and I said, Dad, I want you to come here. I'm going to show you. And I said, look, I just put Realtor.com and put Mena, Arkansas in there. And I was like, and this is how it shows up. And he goes, yeah, that's the same picture that always shows up on mine. I said, yeah, but you see how it automatically has a filter of relevance? I said, it's how you have it filtered. And he's like, oh. And then I was like, well, I don't know what makes one listing relevant over the other one. And so I went to AI and I said, hey, how does one become relevant and not? And it was through like view counts and things like that. If it had a price reduction, if it was a new listing. Yep. So basically things that were better positioned are going to be more relevant. They're going to push it to the top versus being at the bottom.
Well, also each different third-party website has a different criteria of what's relevant. Correct. So you have to learn, and that's what I had to do. I had to go study. So then when cars.com came out, or you had like what's one of the other car buying websites, like whatever it was. I had to go learn the relevancies, and I ended up like having different pages for what it was, so that I could hit all these boxes, so that our views would just, because your search views then gets your click throughs, and then that's going to help you get a customer. Yeah. So it's crazy how those correlate. Yeah. And the automotive and real estate.
And real estate, I mean, basically just online consumption. I mean, and sales is, pretty much the same across the board. I do learn things from other people's industries and what they do, because business is business, and like what they're doing in their business, I'm like, oh, they're doing that and that's working. I'm like, I could do that in real estate too. Like, I'm constantly learning things from like other people's industries and like implementing it in our own.
One thing that's common with all business, and it doesn't matter what industry it is, that in order for you to do well, you have to have attention. And it doesn't matter how you get the attention, whether it's from person-to-person contacts and referrals, or if it's online, but the more attention you have, regardless of what it's about, it's going to put eyes on you. And that's what's so interesting about YouTube and social media and this podcast and all that. It's just attention. Is all it is. And we want to bring value to that attention, right? People are going to give us their time, I hope, to provide value in return. But I use this analogy almost every podcast, but Elon Musk could sell couches tomorrow and he would sell millions of dollars in couches.
He would outsell everybody.
Just because of the attention that he draws. And so it's just understanding
Space
that.
Phobe.
So all this stuff, like anything you want to do. So it's just understanding, like, for me, going through the social media, really understanding it and understanding what click-through rate is, what all these, like that first 3 seconds, how important it is. If you can get someone to stick for 3 seconds, they're going to stick around probably for most of the video. And if you could correlate that to your business, it's like, well, how do I go into a conversation and create that same effect? And just understanding this and taking the time to, AI is a huge one, and then understanding social media. And I truly think that any business that's going to be around 20 years from now will have its own version of social media or its own platform. I truly think the future of business is a platform where someone goes, like if someone looks up roofing, there's going to be a company that is a roofing platform that is online, and you go there, and then they have their own offshoots of everything that you go in there. There's going to be shingles that you can purchase. There's going to be information and as well as entertainment value, because if people like that content, they're going to stick around. And regardless of whether you're good at roofing or not, or good at real estate, if they think that
there's a lot of people who are really good in social media, and then they don't produce at all. And that's a shock for a lot of people when they find that out. Like, I found out somebody that I thought was a very good producer found out that he actually didn't produce at all. Yeah. But his social media was on point, like he's very good at social media. I
mean, social media isn't real life sometimes too. There's
it's definitely
a lot of facades.
What I think is interesting about one thing I didn't realize when I got into the business was the more you put yourself out there, the more people are going to critique you too, and you're going to have haters come out of like places you never even thought about. And I was kind of upset about it because there's an agent that I don't know that didn't know at the time. And he went around, I guess, like saying all these bad things about me. But what I found out was because I was competition for him in our same market, which, there's tons of competition, whatever. And so I was getting deals and he was getting upset with that, especially during the 100 listing appointment challenge. And so I actually asked Tom, I messaged him because I was having to tell him every day, like, how many appointments I was on out of 100. And so one day I messaged him and I was like, I do have this thing that came up. I was like, I don't really know how to handle it or whatever. And he called me because he said, I figured this warranted a call. He goes, congratulations, you made it. And I said, what does that mean? He goes, it means that you're relevant. And if you weren't relevant, you wouldn't have haters and people coming after you. And I was like, oh, that's so true. But then I heard this other saying. And ever since then, I have no problem with people like criticizing me or whatever. Because if it's good criticism, like I can take and use it. Like, I'm fine with that. I'm open to people giving me criticism back. But people who do better than you rarely criticize you. Yep. Yeah. And when I think back, I'm like, yes, like anybody who's doing way better than me, like they're very willing to like mentor me and answer my questions and things like that. And people who aren't are people who aren't doing very well anyways. So
people will only root for you until you become a threat.
Correct.
And if they feel like that you are something better or a threat to them, then it's no longer like, oh man, now it's even though you have no relation or any effect to their pocketbook, because you succeeding does not innately mean that they're going to not succeed, which is wild that people think that way, but they immediately will go from rooting to criticizing everything you do because they don't like it.
And you got to be prepared for that. If you put yourself out there, like, do you know the page Dallas, Texas TV? the Instagram page? It has.
No, probably not.
Okay, so it's a really big page.
You and I are not on the same side of our book reading and of our social media.
So it's a really big page, several million followers, but it's a Dallas, Texas stuff. I did several videos on there, and you can put these videos like pay advertising, right? And I did some tile houses in Highland Park and did some really cool videos and posted that up. It was great. It got me 3 really nice customers. Like, I paid a lot of money for it, but it was a good return.
Yeah.
But there was people commenting on the videos making fun of me, making fun of my ears.
Yeah.
Saying, look at this guy's ears.
Yeah.
So I did a follow-up video, and I was like, and I just made it funny. I was like, I use these ears to listen to my customers' needs. And like, everybody came back and they're like, that was the best return. It's like, you can't take some of this stuff personal. People are going to criticize you no matter, even if it's over your big ears.
Oh, I know, yeah.
But if you just roll with it. So now I've just become numb and callous to it. I'm like, I'm just going to put out whatever.
Yeah. Well, I had a video go viral because the way I was doing the video, most of my videos are like this, right? Like I don't have a camera crew or anything like that. It's just me doing this and just posting it. And I say and I'll mess up or whatever. That's just who I am. Like, I'm human. And so I was doing a video like this, and I had false lashes on, and I guess the angle of it made it look like one of my lashes was falling off. And so it's actually it's pinned at the top of my social media on my Instagram page. It has 1.4 million views and tens of thousands of comments. So my daughters get on there, right, and they're looking, and they said, Mom, like, are you reading these comments? Like, they're roasting you. And I said, yeah, I think it's hilarious. I said, they're just helping my algorithm.
For sure.
But it does go to show that just because you go viral on social media doesn't mean you're going to get business from it.
No.
Because I didn't get one deal from that. But I get a ton of business for my first-time homebuyer series on TikTok that has an average of 400 views.
So what's funny is, like, the way that I replied to the comments, instead of, like, getting mad, I joked with them. I was like, I can hear the comments from here, like, joking, and I put the ear zipper on it. There's a lady named Jennifer Binder. She's been a great customer of ours. Literally messaged me and goes, I love your video, and I love how you replied to people. Like, she was like,
people notice.
Yeah, she was like, I was like bad. I joked with it.
Yeah.
And now she's actually one of our good friends.
Yeah.
Like, she has us.
Trust me, people are watching what you do on social media. I had one where, like, City of Justin Page, somebody went on there and was looking for an real estate agent. You know, it's like, vultures. And so I think I got tagged like 3 times. And every time I got tagged, I was like, oh, thank you so much for the tag, and then, introduce myself or whatever. And so I ended up getting a buyer just off of that wasn't the original poster. She was actually she just saw the post, and she saw how I went, and because everybody else was tagged and nobody was coming on there and saying thank you for the tag or, anything like that. And she was like, but you took the time to respond back.
Yep.
And she goes, and for me, I like that. And she said, so for that reason, I want to use you to buy a house. Yeah.
So anytime we get tagged on stuff, because people look at, when we talked about this earlier and didn't finish it, we took the break, but the secret power of being a woman entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So anytime someone tags us, I send that post to my wife, and I will comment on it, and then my wife goes in. Yeah. Because we're very much a family business, right? So like, there's customers, like yesterday, Kara went and met with this customer, Paisley, and spent 2 hours with her and took our son. We would have never gotten that customer without Kara. Yeah. Because she doesn't, like, Kara brings another trust to it that we can't, like as men can do. Like, so you as like a woman entrepreneur, you bring a trust factor to it, and also your personality.
Well, it's also very, it's, go ahead.
No, there's 2 things I wanted to talk about, but one, the power of a woman salesman is by far will outperform a guy in that same position all day long. Mm-hmm. And I just think women have the ability to be more charismatic. The people you're going to be selling to, women, you automatically drop the guard because you're a woman, and men are generally innately attracted to other women, and so they drop the guard because it's just genetics. And so you have an advantage of being able to go into a room and just be a better presence than someone. And not the same guys, and I don't mean that chauvinistically or anything. It's just half of it's biology and half of it. I've done plenty of door knocking and knocking on a door. If there's a woman home alone, the chances of her opening that door to me are very slim. Whereas if a girl goes to that door and knocks it, she's going to open the door. Yeah. And so she's automatically going to get more doors to open because it's a 1 in 5. It's a 50-50 shot. Yeah. It's a guy or girl opening that door.
Well, in real estate,
super important.
I think women are essentially better at listing homes and things because most people, the men are buying the homes, but the women are the ones who are picking them,
Yeah, for sure.
right? And so, like, if you have a woman that comes in and says, "This is what you need to do to appeal to the female eye," that's what makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And so I always tell my clients, hey, when you buy a house, if you're going to make updates to it, like make sure your wife is very much so involved, or just ask me for my opinion before you do it. Like if your long-term goal is to be able to get a return on this, then, you know, if you're just doing it to live in it and you want whatever you want, that's fine. But when it comes time to sell it, if you're doing this for a future investment, you definitely need to call and talk to me about this, you know, because I know what people are looking for and what people are not looking for.
Oh, if it was up to me, I would have a little bedroom, okay, a kitchen, and then it would be a garage that had an airplane in it and a hot rod and like that's what it would be, and a pool table and like all this. Like I wouldn't have all the hobby stuff. If it was left up to me, it would be very like.
And single men's houses are the hardest to sell because they do. You walk into a house, the dining room has the pool table. They go in and they put all dark finishes, and it's like. Now, black is really in right now. Like, you know, you have the black accent wall back here. That's great, stuff like that. But, like, if a guy comes in, I had this one person who he went in and picked all the finishes because it was a build. And I just kind of looked at his wife like, I don't know about this, because the whole bathroom was all black. Like, the kitchen was all black. Everything was black everywhere. And they did tile through the whole house, which, oh, my God, don't do that. Don't do tile.
You curtail your, I mean, there's people out there, there's somebody out there that would love that, but it's like
but you're
sliver
small.
Of the
if you're trying to appeal to the masses, you're not doing that through that. So I think that gives us an advantage as well on the real estate side, is just because, like, we know what the female eye is looking for.
For sure.
I mean, they're going to, and no guy is going to lie. We can't lie and say that, hey, we're going to tell my wife, no, like, this is what we're buying because I like, not a chance.
There are some. We have one person in contract right now. You guys probably know who he is. I'm not going to say the name, but he has a girlfriend, I guess, apparently. And I guess she was saying that she wanted this other house. And he went, nope, I'm getting that one. And I told my husband, I'm like, and she came to the inspection meeting, so I said, so they're still together.
There's a big difference between a girlfriend and a wife, though.
Well, that's what was interesting, was the girlfriend was trying to make decisions like she was the wife. And so he shut that down real quick, and I told my husband, I'm like, and they're still together. She showed up to the inspection meeting. I was like, so. I guess that relationship's still going on. That would not have worked in our relationship.
Oh yeah.
No.
He's like, no, I know your husband, and I know you. No.
Well, no, I don't mean. I'd say I'm more comparing to my relationship.
Yeah, my husband would never tell me no.
You mentioned something earlier, and you kind of glossed over it. I want to go back to it. You talked about a successful series that you have on TikTok that has a lot of views, or not a lot of views, but not a lot of views, but high return for
Correct.
you. And I think that's a massive lesson to be learned, because it's the same thing. Jumping into social media, I was not aware. So when you think of success in social media, I think this is absolutely good to note that we have learned, that I have learned recently, and that hits the point even more. People think to be successful on social media that you have to have millions of followers.
Correct.
And what I'm finding is super ironic. You'll find that there'll be someone on YouTube, for instance, that has like a shorts platform, has 2 or 3 million followers, and millions of views on all their content, and their ROI on that is $5,000 to $10,000 a month, if that.
Yeah.
If they're lucky.
Yeah.
Whereas you have someone that has a YouTube channel, it's a realtor or just kind of a SME, a subject matter expert that knows about what they're doing. Maybe they have 5,000 people. They legitimately can have $1 million business because of the niche that they're in and the fact that they're speaking to a client and they're converting that, as well as, if you want to take another separate look at it, besides the business that you're bringing in, YouTube and social media pays way more money for long-form content and educational content than they do entertainment content. And so if you can put yourself into it, so if you're thinking about doing a podcast, or someone wants to do it, or not quite sure how to do it, just start talking about what you know, and like your TikTok videos, you're going to find success, and you will get business from that way more than you're going to get from having, like you said, kind of that fake guru out there that has millions of followers but then no success.
Yeah. Because I just did a video recently with our son Silas, and it was the, can I get a Spanish speaker? And then it was like, hey, and like, first of all, we had to do it like 5 times before we finally got it. And but everyone loves it, right? But like, I'm not going to get any business from that. Like, and I typically don't do that kind of stuff anyways. But I do think it's important to show your personality.
It is attention, though.
Yes.
And it is important.
And I stay relevant with other agents in other markets that feed to our market because of my social media, and that's why more than 50% of my business is agent to agent.
Where
referral.
I think that stuff is an advantage for you, that I'm finding, is that attention is attention, right? And
for instance, I can say tennis shoes, and there's a brand that popped into all of our minds, whether it was Nike or Adidas or whatever it is. Someone has done a good job of impressing. When I say tennis shoe, I think Nike.
Yeah.
Growing up with it,
For sure.
It's just
Well,
what
yeah.
Nike
Just do
is
it.
that.
Yeah.
Right?
Like literally,
That's it's such good marketing, and
Yeah.
why? Because of the massive, massive, massive amounts of money they spent. But here's what's cool: nowadays, you don't have to spend massive amounts of money. You just have to find a way to create attention. And if you do a funny meme, it's not that you may necessarily pull business instantly from that, but if you do enough of it constantly, plus you have educational content over there, plus you're marketing with your local, and you're getting referrals, and you have agent to agent referrals, you have all this stuff, and those individuals are seeing you incessantly. When they think realty, they're just going to think Shauna, right? And they're going to reach out because of that. And so I don't underestimate. I really think the power of attention is massive right now, and free.
What's crazy is
zero
that
buying.
is-
I've never paid any money for my social
That's
media.
half your business. You just said something a second ago that is so true, and people have to shift their mind. Is you said 50% of your business comes from agent to agent referral, and I'm just assuming, but from the way that you've talked over the last hour, is you don't look at other people as competition.
Correct.
Because there's so many agents out there. There's,
There's more than enough business for all
right,
of us.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you can you're
but
clearly still competitive too.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that
So you, I'm assuming, don't worry about helping others and educating them and helping them grow, because if you help them grow, they're going to refer customers. And
Well, even in my same market.
yeah.
So I have a group where I started it with the 100 Listing Appointment Challenge. It was called the 100 Listing Appointment Challenge because so many agents were like, I wanted to do what you did. And so same thing. You can give somebody the exact blueprint, tell them exactly what they need to do Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to this is what you need to do. And the odds of them following it and following through is very low. And so people who reach out and say, I want your resource for this, I want your checklist for this, I want this, and they're in our same market, I have no qualms over doing that. Because so I had that group, I started as the 100 Listing Appointment Challenge, then it has like 4,200 agents in there now, and I call it the Momentum Group, and I do weekly calls on there, and I basically just, everything I've paid tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars for coaching to learn my business, I give it away to them for free, because I'm like, nobody got here by themselves, right? So it's like my way to pay it forward. But it's also to stay relevant with agents, and then it's another agent-to-agent platform. But I give people in my same market everything. I give them everything that I do in my business. But I also tell them this because people say, why do you do that? Because I'm in your same market. I said, no offense, but if we go up against a listing together, I'm gonna crush it. I was like, sorry. I was like, if you find out that you're going against me on a listing appointment, you might as well just like tell me you can't make it. You know what I mean?
I love you. That's crazy.
I'm just, just being honest here.
And here's the thing, like
that's
our
a good
mind
mentality.
Our mindset is very much the same, because like just last week I coached at a hard hats meeting that we have in our network. I had other roofers in there, and I'm literally pulling back the curtain. I'm showing them exactly what we did to be successful in these different situations and how we're profitable. And I'm like, guys, like, one of the guys pulled me. He's like, dude,
why are you telling us
yeah,
this?
why?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because here's the thing. If you call me and you need help on something, like, it's going to feed you and your family. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But now that same roofer that did that called me, and he's like, hey, I have this going on and this, can you help me with this? How much would you charge? And I'm like, well, it'd be this. He's like, okay, I'm going to add a fee of this much on it. I'll call you and see if it works. Well, then I had another roofer give me a $5,000 check for helping him get a whole roof approved because I went out and helped him out. And it's not
you never know where opportunity is going to come.
You never know, right? So, and here's the thing. If they see me at a customer's house, right, or say they get called to a customer's house because they want a second opinion, I've literally had a buddy of mine, Brent, get called, and they're like, hey, we want a second opinion. Well, who's the roofer that you called? Oh, I was talking with Taylor at Repair. You know what? He's really awesome. Yeah. He's actually helped me in these situations. You can trust him.
Whatever he's saying is trusted.
You can trust him. Yeah. And now you have someone else in your industry that otherwise would be your competition advocating for you. Yeah. And now that customer's coming back and being like, hey, what if your competitors I talked to, they were like, hey, you should actually go with it. He's great. Yeah. So
same thing in real estate. I had a $2 million listing referral to me. You know, our average price point here in DFW is like $425. So $2 million is like a big listing. And I'm one of those people that I don't care how much money I could make off of the sale. Like if I don't have knowledge in that area, or it's over an hour away from me and it takes me an hour and a half one way to get there, like I don't want, because then here's the thing is if I start marketing that property, I'm going to get more business right there. And I don't want business an hour and a half away from me, right? right? So I have this agent who I'm friends with through real estate, and he has invited me to be a guest speaker at his events a couple of times. And I know he services that area. So when the agent called me and said, hey, I have this $2 million listing referral for you. Do you want it? I said, you know what? I really appreciate the opportunity, but I would 100% call this guy instead. And I gave it to him. He sold it. He's going to owe me steak, at a very nice restaurant.
Yeah.
Because he said, I owe you dinner. And I was like, well, I only like expensive
Nick and Sam's,
steak.
let's go.
Yeah, I only like expensive steak. So he's like, no, that's fine. But, it is very good to be friends with me because because I'm not a specialist in land, like I know it pretty good, but like at the same time, like I don't know it. I'm not obsessed with it and know it like I do residential real estate. Right. And so when I get land opportunities, I have one person that I refer it to. So like having a relationship with me is actually really good because I will refer you business even in our same market if it's not like one of my niches.
And it's important. Well, there's two things you've done. You've established yourself as an expert, and like you talked on, you've niched down enough. Hey, I am really good at this. I'm going to make my money here. I don't want it does. When you do that, you alleviate a ton of stress. Yeah. You become super efficient. Yes. And it's hard to articulate what an ROI is on efficiency, but it's massive, right? Like, so I know that we can concentrate on this type of roof in my industry and do this type of marketing and just stick within this nice niche, and we're really good at it and we'll kill it. If we start to expand too wide, you get slowed down, you pick up clients you didn't necessarily want. Like, there's a whole bunch of things that get
you have less experience, so if something comes up, it's like harder.
You don't know. And so
it makes your message more clear too. When you know who you want to work with, that's something I wish I had learned earlier on, was my ideal avatar of a client. Now I have some friends in the industry that are like, they have an avatar, they know the name, what they do for a living, what they drive for, all that kind of stuff. I don't go that deep, I'm sure if I got with chat for about 5 minutes, I'd figure it out. It'd be like Nancy with 4.5 children driving a Chrysler van or, whatever. But I just know the type of person I want to work with. And I also will say something very unpopular as well, is I love working with first-time home buyers. One, because they appreciate everything you do, even though you're just doing your job. They are so appreciative.
They don't know anything different.
And then here's the thing is, when somebody's buying their first house, what happens? All their friends want to buy houses too. So then they're going to refer you everybody they know. And
because
so
there's a wonderful experience. They're buying their first home.
Yes.
So,
well, it's a wonderful experience because they're working with me.
Oh, duh.
But what's interesting is I just tell people that. I'm like, look, you're going to love working with me so much, you're going to refer all your friends and family. Yeah. And then they do. I just tell them that they're going to do that, right? And so for me, I would love if all my transactions were, I hope my sellers aren't listening to this, but if all my transactions were first-time home buyers, $400,000 price point, wanting to buy new construction, I would take it all day. It brings me so much more joy.
That's cool. That's good.
Than working with people who have sold houses and bought multiple houses and think they know everything, and you're just
also
somebody
not having to deal with a realtor on the other end.
No, you just deal with the salespeople. But I have salespeople that I've become friends with, because you asked this question about working with builders. I don't work with the actual builder, but I do work with the salespeople, and I actually have So I have a client who she works for Taylor Morrison, and I actually just sold her house.
Oh, that's cool.
And she found me on social media. I walked into one of her model homes one day, and she goes, "Are you Shauna Martinez?" And I go, "I am." And she goes,
"Who's asking?"
Where's my good side? And I said, "I am." And she goes, "I see you." She goes, "I love your social media. Like, I see all over your social media." And so then, and she's a good referral partner too, because like when you become friends with those people, when people come into those houses, they always advise that you use like Open Door or Zillow offers, which they're not doing anymore, but like, because they're that good at home pricing and things, they don't even sell their own houses anymore. So take that with a grain of salt with you if you want, Mr. Zillow lovers. But their business already has this relationship with these companies that come and buy these homes for cash. But they're not going to pay you what you need to get for your home. They're not going to pay you what your home like market value would be, right? They're going to come in and buy it lower, and then they're going to let you buy your new house, and then they're going to turn around and flip it, and they're going to make money off of it, like Open Door in them. And so if they don't want to go that route, then the person that they're going to want to refer it to is going to be somebody that they know, like, and trust, and that they have a relationship with. And so I've had tons of opportunity to sell houses for people. I didn't even get to represent them on the buy because they were in the new construction, contract with the builder. But I was referred by one of the builder's salespeople to sell their house, and so it's like having those relationships with them too.
To have that, opening those avenues.
Yeah, like I have a listing right now that we're putting active. It was a listing that was taken over from another agent. That's kind of like my niche because of the 100 listing appointment challenge I focused on for sell by owners and expireds and canceleds. And then I became known as the expired queen out of that. So like but what I learned from that was all the things that other agents do wrong. So I love being the second or third agent that gets hired, because then now maybe they're tired of messing around, and now they'll listen to what I have to say, and then let's get this show going.
When you start telling them, hey,
you're asking, your price is too high, this is wrong, this is
Yeah.
wrong, this is wrong, and then there's not really a whole lot that can push back if a house has been sitting on the market for 6 months.
Well, yeah.
Right? It's like,
Or if they say,
okay.
well, we're going to try this price anymore. Okay, then I wish you best of luck. If
Yeah.
you change your mind, you have my contact information.
How I looked up your social media before we started. You definitely have good success in the social media. How much of a difference does it make in your business? Has it made a massive difference in your social media?
100%. Like the amount of times I can go in somewhere and like we were in Arkansas of all places one time, and we were at this little restaurant in the middle of Mena where nobody goes, and this lady, I came out of the bathroom and she goes, "Are you Shauna?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, and she's like, "I follow you on social media." She's like, "I actually live in Fort Worth, but we're here vacationing." Like, I get that all the time. I still don't even know how to like respond to it because it's very strange for me. But you know who's getting more well known on social media now is Jesus.
Is he?
We went to the coffee shop. We went to the coffee
so
shop
awesome.
in Ponder, like the they have like this little food truck park, which I love, and it has this little coffee shop called Roast to Roost. I hope I didn't get that wrong. If not, it's Roost to Roast. But anyways, it's very good coffee. And the owner used to be a real estate agent. But anyways, Jesus took me there one day because I wanted to have coffee, and so we walk up, and he goes, he opens, he had never been there, and the guy goes, "Are you Jesus Martinez?" And he goes. He looks at me because he's like, "What do I do?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "That is so weird. Like, no one ever knows me." He's like, "Everyone knows my wife."
That is super funny.
But I've forced him kind of to get out of his comfort zone. He is like, when I say he's the best wingman, like we get so much business from the jiu-jitsu community. Like, we love you guys so much. They're just the best. But my husband, is now well known on social media as well. But he shares a lot of my stuff. But he's kind of taken on that, like just making fun of like being a spouse of a real estate agent kind of thing, And so people love it. Yeah. People love it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So he's really good. So people recognize me. So yes, social media, I get some people are like, it's not my thing, but I know people who are in real estate and social media is not their thing, and they have a very hard time having closings.
I'll speak anecdotally from my experience with social media. So Taylor came in and was already kind of better at it. Now we're making a massive push into it, clearly. But
I heard that Taylor got a lot of hate from where y'all were before because of all of his social media.
Correct. And it was that exact circumstance we talked about before.
And I said because he's doing something right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They'll cheer you until you're a threat. As soon as it was a threat, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, you guys are crazy. Social media.
So what's funny is I kind of did your 100 listing challenge. So when I got into roofing, right, I obviously left the car business, I got into roofing, and literally the first thing I did the first month, I posted on social media and I was like, "Hey, I need to get this many inspections by the end of this month. I have to do it. No matter if your roof doesn't need an inspection, I just need to get on it so I can learn."
Yep.
So I literally, during an ice storm, I had done that right before we had this ice storm in February. And this was 22. So I go out and I do all these deals, and then I post each time, and I'm like, "Hey, 1 down, 2 down, 3 of 20, 4 of 20, and I posted every single one. So now I branded myself in a matter of 30 days. I branded myself as a roofer from being in the car business for 15 years. Well, then that ice storm hits, and I had all these people, every person that I went to, I had them post tagging me saying that I came and did an inspection. Some people, I found stuff that was missing. I did some small repairs. Then that ice storm comes through, and in harvest, I had already had all of these people posting about me doing this, and then all these leaks happen, and then boom, the next month after that, I fixed all these leaks. We had a huge windstorm come through, and I did 60 repairs in a matter of 7 days, and the gross revenue from that was tremendous. It was 6 figures.
All from a social media post that was free.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I started, and then I was like, okay, this is the key to this. So then I got everyone that I did those repairs for tagging me on the neighborhood Facebook page. All my friends from the jiu-jitsu community that lived in Harvest were tagging me and sharing all this stuff that I was doing. And then I started making videos.
Social media is hands down. If there is one thing you could do in your business that would change the trajectory and change like your entire life, social media is it. And you have to get outside of yourself.
You don't even have to be good at it.
You don't even have to be on camera.
Yeah,
like what's trending right now is like the 7 seconds. Like half the time, if you look on my social media, it's like me driving, because I'm always driving from one appointment to the other. It's literally my job to go on appointments. So when my clients are like, "You're really busy," like, yes, I am. Like, I go on appointments for a living, right? That's literally that's the one thing I track actually in my business is appointments, because I know that appointments drive revenue.
Yep.
Because the more appointments I go on, the more contracts I sign, the more closings I have. And so I focus on
a percentage, like, hey, if I go to 10 appointments, I'm closing 80%.
I go on 20 listing appointments a month, and that keeps me 15 pending transactions at all times. Like, I know my numbers down to a T. That's another thing. If you don't know your numbers, you're not tracking. Like, you don't need an expensive tracker. You can just use an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. But talking about a Facebook post and it being free, so like, I think, one, I'm really good at finding opportunity anywhere. Like, I'm really good at like networking, and I always tell people my superpower is like connecting people. So if somebody, like, I've had people, like, for instance, I have the seller that her son is, he is going to be going to school for cybersecurity. And I have a client who's in cybersecurity. So I said, you know what? I bet you, because he's probably going to be looking for an internship. And I said, you know what? Like, if he's ever looking for an internship, I bet you I can connect him with my client who knows a bunch of people in the cybersecurity world, and he could probably get an internship. And if not, he would at least have information like that would be helpful.
For sure.
And they were like, are you serious? And I go, yeah. And I left there and I messaged my client, and he goes, yeah. And he gave me all this information, and I passed it back to her. They didn't even ask. Like, I just did it, right? And we have, since half my business is agent referral, it's people coming from out of state, right? So a lot of times they're coming here, like their spouse is coming for work. They still need to find work. And I'll say, well, what do you do? And they'll start telling me, and it's usually like stuff I'm like, okay, whatever. I have no idea. Send me your resume and your experience and what you're looking for. And they do that. And then I'll send it out to my database of like 5,000 plus people or whatever. And I get them interviews all the time.
That's cool.
Like, that's extra value that I bring that like people probably don't even know, like realize, right?
Well,
but like, one of the posts I put on social media, I put it on the Harvest page, was for us looking for a home, because we move every year and a half on average. That's the downside to being a real estate agent, is I look at really pretty houses every day. And so, and I think I need to buy them all, which I do a lot. But anyways, so I posted this on Harvest. I was looking for a house for one of my clients, because even though we have more inventory than ever, it doesn't necessarily mean there's something out there that my client wants. So I always go to social media and post it like on the local pages or even on my personal, and I always get stuff from it, like for my clients to have extra options. And that's another value proposition I give to my buyers, because I'm like, I'm not waiting for homes to hit the market. I'm going out and finding the inventory for you.
Right. You have a large enough following, you can literally make a post and throw it out there, and
then they do the job for me.
Yeah.
So I posted on the Harvest page property for us, and since we moved so much, I knew exactly what we wanted, right? So I was very specific, and I said, and I keep saying, like, we've seen everything on the market, but this is what we want. So anyways, somebody saw me on that post, reached out to me. We went and toured that house. It wasn't one that was for us, and then we ended up not living in Harvest anyways. But I ended up getting that listing. They called me later and said, you know what, I think we need to go ahead and sell anyways. And so I was like, okay. So I ended up listing that house, right?
So you pulled them into the market.
Yes. So I pulled them into the market. So not only that, so I got the sale on that one, but then we got a sign call off of it from another neighbor who lives in Harvest, who wants to stay in Harvest, but they want to upsize. They have a home to sell. So I got them as a buyer and a listing. And then on the other side, I got a buyer that contacted me for that house. They ended up getting in contract with that house. So I got them on the buy side, and they also had a home to sell in Flower Mound. So I got the listing on that. It went into multiple offers. I got a buyer off of that who I sold another property to, and then she referred me to her friends. So now I have 2 listings from them and a buy from them, and it's still going. It hasn't ended from one Facebook post.
You're at 11.
I'm probably I'm probably mid 6 figures on that.
Earlier, I was going to make the point.
That's crazy.
You talked about people are afraid because it's not their thing, right, to do social media. And I get it, because I was literally that person.
Yeah.
And I just had to like have a serious conversation. Like, look, I know, like, if you are pretending, or you're fooling yourself if you look at the market right now and think that you can do a business without social media. And that would be the biggest piece of advice, is if you aren't doing social media, you need to do it in some way. And what's crazy, it doesn't have to be
it doesn't even have to be you on camera.
Or you can use a pet. You can use...
People love dogs, by the way. People love our dog. Yeah.
Funny story.
Yeah.
I have over 50,000 views on one social media post right now because of my dog.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like, I just laugh. I'm like,
I'm thinking about starting Chief his own page.
Yeah. I'll show you after.
He's like, I did that too.
Like, I just laughed. I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing
People
this.
love dogs.
Yeah.
They love it. Yeah.
And I like dog people.
Well,
people that like dogs.
Here's the thing.
Are good people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of businesses that are old school that use mascots.
Yeah.
And it's kind of gone away, but a mascot can be something that can be utilized. Like I said, it's attention. Now, are you going to get roofs because of your dog?
maybe
You could get
maybe not,
attention.
but you're going to get attention that's going to link you to what you do.
And they're gonna go, oh,
if
so and
they,
so's a roofer, and the guy with the dog.
Yep. And so it's just attention. And
We
then
need to
it pushes
start
you
having
to other
text on all our roof installs.
I know, dude.
You should be like the
So-
the dog owner realtor, or the
Yeah.
realtor with the dog, or
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like
yeah.
something like that.
You can,
Play on
but that's a
words.
thing that you can, or it can be a hobby, man. It could be, forever. My social media handle was roofing jitsu,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's so I changed it finally because like nobody knows what that really means.
I
Like,
can never
know
find
what
you
it
to
means.
tag you.
Yeah. So see, exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
my point. So I was like, okay, I need to rethink my social media because
Yeah.
it's not working.
Because if I couldn't think of it, I was like, I would type in Kyle and like it would pop up something that I was like, I don't even, when you're when you're tagging it so small, you can't tell if that's the right person. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be tagging somebody that's not them.
Yep.
So then I'm like, hey Kyle, I posted something I wanted to tag you, but I couldn't find you. Like,
Yep.
can you go on and like add yourself or whatever?
Yeah. So I've now addressed that. You can actually find me at my handle and
Yeah.
my name.
Yeah.
So,
But also,
it-
that's
super
why
important.
our name "Repair Your Roof" is
Because
that
it's
is
like I need to get my roof repaired.
like, it's so easy to remember. It's
Yeah.
the
Simplicity is
it's
good.
So simplistic.
But you're talking about how people don't want to be on social media and how super important that is, and it is because
it's
how do you find people? I go online and I search, so you have to think of like a consumer how they're looking.
Well, and it can be as simple as like you have a hobby, and it could be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it could be basket weaving, it could be gardening. And if you like it and you have a passion for it and you can get in front of a camera and talk about it, I know this sounds crazy to think, but it's legitimately that.
There's
because-
a following for
Yeah.
everything out
Yeah,
there.
and it's
People
it's-
remember me because I'm a product junkie and I'm always talking about my hair products and makeup products, and people are constantly contacting me and saying, what makeup did you use for this? Because I used to do get readies with me, which I don't know why I got away from it, because everybody loved it. And I would have people on there live all the time just talking to me. Oh, hey Shauna, what color are you using? What is that like?
And that's a perfect example.
Just connecting
for it.
with people.
And they see you and they know you're a realtor, and it's going to bring you business.
I walked into a
hands down.
hotel.
And to be honest, you can make money off that as well. That's the thing.
Well, that's the
crazy
thing too, is you
that
start
social
thinking
media-
differently.
Yeah.
We talked about having like a business owner mindset.
Yep.
I now think of everything I do, how can I monetize it?
Yep.
So like all the things I'm doing for the Momentum Group, right? Which is the group I started that has over 4,000 agents. I'm now moving that platform to the school platform, SKOOL.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, there's something, and I'll put this out there, and I'm sure there's probably people like, oh, I want to do this too, whatever. Good luck. I'm going to do it. And it's going to be awesome. But, sorry, I don't know where I came up with this confidence. I used to be the chubby kid in school that never like had this confidence. And then I don't know, it just came out of nowhere, but I love it. But I'm actually going to start it's going to be like a boot camp class that new agents can pay for, and I'm literally going to show them how to build their business. Because what happens is in our industry, because I always think of things as like if there's not something, there's an opportunity, right? There's always an opportunity for things. And so like I'm sitting here thinking like all these agents that come on, because we have a very high failure rate in our industry. That's like over 90% in 5 years, or like they're out of the business. And I think it is greatly a lot of it because there's nobody to help people. Like you get your license, first of all, everything you learn in school, as soon as you have to sit down and write a contract, you realize everything you don't know. Like you may have taken the test and known all this stuff, but you don't know how to fill out a contract. And they don't have people that are sitting there showing you how to do it. Like people say, oh, there's mentors. I'm a certified mentor. I don't show my mentee anything. I do actually. I'm much better than most. Like I actually teach them how to go get business and I give them opportunities, but not everybody has that, right? But I thought, how can I help solve that problem? Because one, I'm on the other side of the transaction with these people and it makes it very difficult. They can't even fill out a contract. I know they don't know how to talk to their clients. So now I'm making a class that's going to teach them in the first 6 months what they need to do to get up and going. So it's going to be like, just got my license, now what kind of thing, like. And that way they don't have to worry about it. But that's going to be another revenue stream for me because right now I'm doing it for free.
Yep.
And it's like, man, I could make another 6+ figures doing that.
It was funny what you were talking about. You get on and talk with 4,200 people. I was going to ask if you'd monetized it. And it sounds like you're finally.
I
you're
am
going to do
finally,
that.
yes.
You automatically have, and just think if you charge $20 a month.
I'm charging $97 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good chunk of change.
There's a girl in our
So-
industry that got in 5 years ago. Her name is Tally Hunt. I'm very big on like plugging other people that just do amazing things. But so she was a guest on my group, and I love watching her because she got in the business 5 years ago. Her husband was military, so you can understand that. And they moved to a market that they didn't know anybody. And she was like a teacher at the time, making like $40,000. By the way, teachers don't get paid near as much as they deserve. They should be making NFL money. But anyways, or real estate money. But it's kind of the same depending on what market you're in. But she has built out her business, and in 5 years, with no sphere, she built everything out on social media. She now makes over $1 million a year in real estate, all from social media. And she has this group called the Mom Word Group, and she has over like 500 subscribers monthly, and it's $100 a month. So you do the math on that; it's $50,000 a month she's making just on that.
Cash flow, which is so awesome.
And then she now is completely out of production. Her team does all of her transactions,
and she just sits back and runs the empire.
and she's been in the business 5 years. She's not even 30.
Wow, that's impressive.
I'll tell you what, there's a couple things with that. One, I'm super inspired. And so I'm actually going to hire her as my coach because I said, I want to do exactly what you're doing. And she's very expensive, like 3 times the amount I've ever paid for, which is another revenue stream that's not included in that, is she does coaching. And so I'm going to coach with her because who better to teach me to do it than the person who's doing it.
Man, we talked about it last podcast. Like, it's funny that coaching is, I have a very negative connotation to coaching, but our last guest
because everybody thinks they're a coach.
Well, it's funny, although the last guy that we had on our podcast is Clayton Robinson from Seattle Plumbing.
Know him, yeah.
He just kind of walked us through the mentality. I'm like, oh, it totally makes sense, because he brought up the fact that, look, you've got tons of, for me, it was mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, not necessarily, the people that teach me aren't necessarily the people that are world-class athletes. It doesn't mean they can't teach.
Correct.
And now, it doesn't mean they're a good coach either.
Yep.
Right? So I'm not saying that all business coaches out there, but it's kind of changed my mentality of my opinion, or my opinion of business coaches, understanding how there really can be people, but it definitely helps when people have success. Mm-hmm. And she clearly knows it because she can charge a higher premium.
Yeah,
for
and I'll pay it.
service.
Take my money.
Yeah. And that's where it's at. It's like
but the other thing it taught me was I'm not running my business right. Because look what she did in 5 years, and I've been in this for 8 years now, 8.5 years. And like we were talking earlier before the podcast, and about blowing up our businesses. Sometimes we have those days, and I had never ever thought about getting out of the business or doing something different, or like not being able to succeed in this business. But a few weeks ago, I'll tell you right now, I was questioning my sanity. Okay. Like, it was to a point where I told Jesus, like, I think I might get out of this business. And you should have seen the look on his face. Like, he was like, what? Like, first of all, he'd be fine with that, I'm sure. But, because money's not important to him. But, he just kind of looked at me and he's like, what would you do? And I was like, I don't know, maybe like new home sales or something. I don't know. I was like, I think I said I wouldn't stay in this realm. I said, but I just can't deal with the people. I can't deal with the unrealistic expectations. I can't deal with the people who think their house needs to sell first day, or you're the problem. Like, and that literally is the reality. And so that's the other thing is like,
well, it's good for people to know that are getting into the industry of, like, it's a real, like,
the expectation issue is very hard. It's very difficult.
And it's, I would say in the home services industry, that is a common denominator when you get an unrealistic client. And it's hard because when you first start, you just want to take as much business as you can.
And I did that.
Right. And it's hard because you're like, I'm going to take everything. But
and it's hard to get out of that. It's, it's hard to focus on certain areas. Yeah.
And you'll shoot yourself in the foot if from day one you make a business. And it's not an easy one to do it, but I feel like it's kind of the same relevance with social media, and I'll compare the two because we've been talking about it the whole time, but it's the same exact thing. It's about attention, right? And you're going to attract the attention of the people that you're around.
Yes.
And if you're around bad clients, you're going to attract more bad clients. And if you choose good clients, you're going to attract good clients. And it's the same thing when it comes to the algorithm of social media. 100%. If you create content that is not, like, for instance, we'll just use the dog stuff, right? People in the dogs aren't necessarily looking for home sales, but there are going to be people that have dogs that want homes, right? But it's not going to be to your niche where you have a educational series that you've put out that has much lower view count, that has given you tons
but
of
more
business,
value.
but more value, right? So it's creating the attention of it, and if you create the right type of attention, whether it's social media or in your business, and you stick to it and have a plan, you're going to reap the fruits, and then you're going to have less stress, you're going to have more efficiency, and you'll grow a much stronger, faster business from that.
What's interesting about what you just said is, one, it's spot on. But like, so for instance, there was one day I got on my coaching call I've had multiple business coaches, and I'll probably continue to have multiple business coaches. But I said, I don't know what it is. Like, I'm getting all these like down payment assistance and like really low, like, purchase prices and stuff like that. I said, I don't know why it's like that. And my coach at the time said, what are you putting on your social media? And I went, oh crap, I didn't even think about it. But like that, I was telling stories on my social media about how people thought they couldn't afford a home. We got them down payment assistance, blah, blah, blah. That's what we're putting on. And I was attracting more of it.
Yep.
So I will say it's a blessing and a curse to have social media, because you have to be careful about what you put out, because you also want to make sure you're attracting the type of person you want to work with.
Yep.
So for me, like, when people are like, I don't know what to post. First of all, we're in the land of AI. There's no reason why you can't figure out what to post. But two, like, what I do most of the time is I just document what I do every day, all day.
Yep.
Like, if I should be working, right? And I do. And so I'm just like, instead of sitting down, like Brent Cardone, we talked about him and like his renting thing or whatever. He had where he said his photographer or his videographer kept coming in his office like all day saying, we need to record content. We need to record content. But he's like on phone calls, right? And he said, you know what? Just sit in that chair. And he's like, and just record me what I'm doing. He goes, that's literally what you need. And I was like, that's exactly what I should be doing. Mm-hmm. I don't need this big production. I don't need a videographer to come and, I mean, I would be fine if they did, but I don't need that, right? I can just use my phone. We have the best phone cameras and so.
Your phones are fantastic cameras. I mean,
yes, they're the best cameras out there.
Literally do anything that
yes.
you want.
They're the best cameras out there. And so I just use my phone for everything. And half the time I'm in my car because I'm going from one appointment to the next. And I'll say, hey, I'm going on a busy day with me today. The first appointment's up. I'm going to a listing appointment. And then I take a picture kind of the outside. I come back in and I just, sign that listing. Now I'm going to show a buyer this. And as I'm showing houses, I'm taking pictures or video of the house and posting polls and questions and things like that. But yeah, like you have to be really careful about what you put on social media, because then you're going to attract who you do or who you don't want to work with. And so the things that I always think of when I'm thinking about social media is I think, what would I find interesting? Because what I see is people go, well, I post, and I look at their social media and it's like all they're doing is sharing news articles. Mm-hmm. And it's like there's no likes, no comments. Like,
yeah, people want to hear about.
Don't post just to post.
But they want to see real life scenario stuff. They want to see real.
Yeah,
life.
Honestly,
so like I tell stories.
When you're posting,
I always tell
Are
stories.
you posting reels?
I post both. So I post it to to Instagram, and it goes to Facebook automatically. Also, I also found out that I get more views if it goes to my stories.
Well.
So I have it automatically post to my stories.
I'll tell you something I just learned recently, and I proved it right yesterday. You actually hurt your reach when you do it cross post. It's better to do it individually. Just
I was
FYI.
locked into like the 700 view count for a long time, and then now I'm out of that, and I'm getting like 4,000 to 7,000 views on.
Yeah. So
but you're saying because when it cross posts.
So for whatever reason,
Yeah.
there's some
I wouldn't doubt it.
There's some contradicting theory out there. However, that one is pretty set. Because my biggest thing is like, well, can I post? And I still don't have the answer to this. So if somebody wants to comment and know the answer to this, can I post the exact same content on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Reels and monetize it? There are older videos a few years past where Meta has advised that if you post the same content on other platforms and not just theirs, that they will demonetize your content for lack of originality.
Yeah.
Because you're posting it everywhere. They don't want you to make money over here and over here
Yeah.
and over here. And I don't know if that's still true.
On the monetization, I don't know, but I know friends that are viral on TikTok, viral on Instagram,
so,
viral on Facebook, and they put the same content. They're just posting the same thing.
That's interesting. I wonder how I would see that. I'm starting to think maybe that's a little bit outdated on that. All of the
It's
cross
always
posting.
changing.
The cross posting, I was just watching a video yesterday about
It's relevant.
It's relevant.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, Facebook and Instagram, and it's just Facebook and Instagram. Like, it doesn't matter on the other platforms. Like, you can use like a buffer, for instance, and you can put one post. Like I use AI, and then I use a program called Buffer. Mm-hmm. And then I go and create one post, and then the AI goes in and logs into Buffer, and then it distributes it to all the platforms in one post.
I use
Metricool.
Metricool.
And it's individual. So it's going into each individual accounts and posting it directly, not cross-posting. Because apparently when you cross-post, Instagram and Facebook are different companies, even though they're the same. And so for whatever reason,
Still Meta, but
it's still Meta, but they're treated differently, and they will not. It just, there's a little bit, you get a better performance just by.
My issue with
putting
all of this AI stuff and like posting on social media and having these platforms that post it on there for you is that all of my followers are on my personal page. So like that's something that real estate agents are like, no, I need to have a business page. It's good to have a business page, like just to show that you have it, I guess. But like for me, I'm like, why would I want to go out and start a whole new page and have to get a whole new audience and build that up when everybody I know, like, and trust who's going to hire me is going to be on my personal page?
Yeah,
but they don't like to post on your personal. Like those are all set up to post on professional, like business accounts.
Yep.
And that's the part that really frustrates me is because all of my stuff, I get everything from my personal account.
So there's still a way to do it. You just need to create an agent that operates
Facebook has some protections, but there are filters and things out there that you can do that you can still kind of automate the process. It is annoying though. I agree. I found out the same thing during this process that you can't automate your personal profile,
Correct,
which is super annoying.
Yeah.
You can go in and schedule manually
Yeah.
posts, but you literally have to go in and schedule it manually.
Correct,
which is
yeah. And I do that sometimes.
Not the greatest when you're trying to.
I do that sometimes, yeah.
So have you seen when you're scrolling, doom scrolling later today, which we all do.
That's how I decompress.
On Instagram, you can see now some of the stuff is saying made with edits.
Yeah.
So those are getting higher prioritized.
Well, Instagram has made it almost impossible to you can't even edit anything in Instagram without going to edits.
Right.
Like before you could go on there, you could shorten your video or whatever. Now it forces you to go to edits.
Yeah. So that gets prioritized higher. And also on Facebook, stuff done with meta glasses, that gets prioritized.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So if you're using the meta
because it's really good on sound, but meta glasses are not they're not very good on quality of filming.
Oh, the newer ones
are.
Yeah.
They're okay. They
not as good as your phone.
Yeah, they're not. They're definitely not as good as your phone and stuff. And the lighting affects it. It gets pretty grainy. Even if there's a little even in here, they would struggle to. They're just not quite as.
And
good.
it only records for so long, right?
You've only got
and then it stops.
3 minutes or 7 minutes. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's 3 minutes. I use mine when flying. I've recorded some videos when I'm flying. That's and cool. Done landings and takeoffs.
Oh, actually flying.
Yeah.
Is that a metaphor for
no
walking a roof?
no. A little airplane that I have. So So and
so you fly.
Yeah. I have my pilot's license.
Oh, wow. Were you in the military too?
Mm-mm.
No. I told him, talking about monetization and stuff, I told him because he's the one that started with the whole logos and stuff on his truck with the soldier and everything and the flag. Yeah. And I said, you should have sold that template. And he was like, I should have thought about that because he did it. And then everybody started using the exact same template. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was funny when people in our company tried to take credit for that. I was like, you guys definitely didn't do that first.
Pretty sure I did it. Yeah. But social media I think is huge. I think here's the misconception that people have in real estate is you need to have a bunch of different lead sources. So one time I got on a coaching call with it was the first time I was coaching with this coach, and he said, how many lead sources do you have? And I was like, oh, I have 13. I have 13 lead sources. And he's like, I don't think so. And he had me, because I track everything. He was like, what are your top 4? And I told him, which is still my top 4 today. And he goes, you're going to get rid of all the other stuff and you're only going to focus on those. Right. And that's something I teach agents is you don't need more lead sources. You need to find what is already working and double down on that. So if your past clients is one, you need to start being more mindful of your past clients. Drop by, do pop buys, reach out to them, call them, whatever. And then, maybe ask them, hey, one thing that you said earlier, which I 100% agree with, is that when you tell people what your goals are, people who like what you do and like you as a person will help you accomplish those goals. So if you say I want to go on so many appointments, they're gonna be like, oh, well, I got so-and-so, I'm gonna refer. Yep. I tell people my goals all the time. Yep. When I wanted to get to 100 Google reviews, I was like, I put that out and I sent out to I was like, hey, listen, I have a goal to get to 100 reviews on my Google page. Can you please go on there and do it? I'm over 100 now. And it's like, okay, great. Now my next goal is 500 or whatever. But when you tell people that, they'll want to support your goals.
Yep.
And I like that too.
What's funny is you find out people you find out who your biggest cheerleaders are. Mm-hmm. There is friends that you have that are not your closest friends, right? And they are your biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And I have several like that I know in the background, they're referring me business or everything. And we're not super close. We don't talk every day. And then some of the people that you thought are super close to you and everything, it's very different. And
I have people reach out to me. I have people in contract. I've sold their houses. People I didn't even know was following me on social media that I'd known from a long time, from school or whatever. And they'll reach out to me and go, well, yeah, we knew when we were going to sell, we were going to reach out to you. I'm like, I didn't even know you watched my social media. I had no idea.
They want to support you and your family. And that's the thing.
Well, people know our family. When I show up at the appointment, they're like, oh, you didn't bring Silas? And I'm like, no. Or what's really interesting is when I pull up to a listing appointment and I show up at their house and they go, oh, it's you. And I'm like, yeah, it's me. And they're like, well, I just figured you would send one of your people. I go, I am the people. I was like, but that's pretty, first of all, thanks a lot for making me feel like I'm more important than I am. I go, but
awesome. Dude, I get the same thing. We had a guy call in last week with a leak, and literally he was right down the street. 30 minutes later, I was like, Kyle had texted me and I just went right over there. And he was like, I didn't realize you were coming. And I was like, yeah,
Like, here
dude,
in the
I
flesh.
yeah,
Yeah.
right here. And he's like, well, last time, like, we had our roof done and stuff, you were having a heart deal. I didn't know you're. I was like, yeah, I'm good.
I started a VIP group just for my clients that are the big cheerleaders that refer us a ton of business. And I do things like every month. I do like giveaways in there,
Oh,
you
cool.
know, and like different events just to
So
stay
great.
top of mind. But here's the thing: is I got this idea from another agent who came on and talked about it on my group, and she's in our market, and she gave me all the information, and I did it. And then I dropped off these boxes that had all this cool stuff in it, and then it had a letter in there, and it said you're part of the VIP program, and just reiterating why they're part of the VIP group, which is like to refer me a bunch of business, and so just like reminding them. And one of them right now, she just asked me this week, like, can I be the president of your fan club? And she's like, I was like, don't tempt me. Like, I will have shirts made up and everything. But because she's referred me 3 people just in the last week, and I have her under contract. So
That's awesome.
yeah. So
Well-
when you treat people right, like, people always want the secret sauce about businesses, but like, you just treat people right, show up like you're supposed to, do what you say you're gonna do. Like,
And I think the secret sauce in all, I think you can apply this anywhere, is just genuine. Be genuine.
Yeah.
And like you talked about, you're just posting what you're doing. It's just genuine content. You're not acting on camera. You're not trying to be silly. You're not trying to play to the algorithm. You're just doing it, and people, it translates. And I've talked to Taylor about, like, social media when we create it. It just needs to be genuine. It doesn't need
Yeah.
Now you can have fun. Like, you can do trends. I'm not saying you can't do stuff like that, but your genuine content is going to reach through the screen and grab the person.
because
behind
people
it
can
and
tell
go,
when you're being genuine and when you're not.
When I first started it, I put a lot of effort into it, and I would write a script of what I needed to say, and
Everything
then
had
I
to be
would practice it,
perfect, and, yeah.
and then I would practice it.
Yeah.
And then the stuff that got the most views was me messing up stuff, or like just be.
One of my friends, their social media went completely off the rail, like in a good way. Like, I mean, she got a ton of followers when she just started being who she was. She cusses and all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, and because that's her vibe. That's the people she attracts, and I mean, then she's happy because she's working with people that like her like that.
The thing that's crazy about social media that people don't realize is there are almost 7 billion people in the world, I think, or a little over 7 billion now.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned earlier, you're an entrepreneur, you think about it. Like, yes, your local market is important because that's where you get realtors, but there's a whole nother aspect of social media that you can monetize. And regardless of where that person lives in the world, if 50,000 people are your devoted fans, you will make millions of dollars if you do a good job at money. You don't need millions and millions of followers, or even 5,000 people, you can make millions of dollars. It's just all about how you present yourself, what value you bring to that person, and how it translates.
Well, and I also challenge people to change their mindset when they say, oh, I only got so many likes, because you have to think about it like this. This is what I tell agents. Let's say you post something, and let's say you get 10 likes, but it's like probably your first post, or even one of my posts maybe get 10 likes, whatever. It must not have done very well. But let's say I get 10 likes. How long would it have taken you to have 10 conversations? A lot longer than it took for you to post that video.
Oh, that's a really good. That's a
Like,
good analogy.
You know, like, so if you have a message to put out, so for me, like, I know my niche and what I try to attract is like sellers, expireds, and first time home buyers and new construction. So all of my
Content
social
is that.
media is around all of that. So I'm always thinking about, and here's my thought process as well, is if one person asks that question, everybody else probably thinks that too and has that same question. So I just keep a list on my phone of like all the questions I get asked all the time. And then if I'm getting on my phone, I'm like, oh, I just need to do social media. Then I'll think, that person had this question. I'm just going to do a question answer on my social media. And then the thing is what people don't realize is if one person had that question, other people probably do as well. And like just helping people. So the first time home buyer thing, the reason why everybody likes that one, and I get a bunch of business because, you know, when you go online and people are saying, I need a real estate agent for whatever city, and then like 100,000 people get posted, and half of them I've never done a deal. But it's like, you know, what I do is I say, oh, you know what, like I just sent you a DM, and I'll send them a video message. Like, I don't care if I just got off from working out or whatever, like I send it however I am. And I say, oh, here's a link to my first time homebuyer series on TikTok. And I send them the link to the first video, and I say, it's like, you know, 16 videos or whatever. Just take a look at it. Let me know if you have any questions. Never ask for their business. And I get their business because I'm the one person who offered something and didn't ask for something.
That's smart.
And so I get tons of business that way. And it walks them through. It literally tells them before, during, and after you buy your first house. Like,
cool.
Everything. Like, what you need to sit down. Before you even talk to a lender, you need to know what you can actually afford. Sit down, put pen to paper. What do you feel comfortable with? Don't care about what your max budget is. Find out what your price range is to stay comfortable in that budget. And people are like, I'm so glad that you post that. So by the time they reach out to me, like, they've already seen all the videos and they know everything to do.
That's so important. And that is so good and so valuable because you're looking after the well-being of these people. Like, you actually care, like, hey, don't max yourself out. You're actually caring about their future and how they're going about the most important investment they're ever
I,
going to make.
I will tell people, I will talk people out of buying houses.
So I'll put you on the spot then. Let's not meaning in a good way, but if you don't have three, but what are the top three mistakes that people are making as a first-time home buyer that you would say don't?
They're not planning for future. Like they're just trying to buy something right now, but they're not thinking about what they want to do long term. Two, they are spending more than they need to be spending, and they're not taking into consideration the amount of cost it's going to take when you buy a home for like maintenance and taking care of items. And the third one, I would say, those two are the biggest ones. The third one, I would probably say buying in areas that aren't going to have a good return.
Okay.
Because they're low price and it fits in their budget, but you have to think about why they're lower price. It's because they're in a less desirable area. So just know that that's not going to be a good return.
Just because you buy it doesn't mean it's going to get a return.
Correct. So that's what I always tell people. One, I always ask permission to be honest, and they say yes. I say good because I'm going to be anyways. But I will, as we're walking through houses, I'll say, and this is what I also tell them. I'll say, as we're walking through houses, like I say this so much I know it verbatim, because we're going to be working together. We're going to like working together so much when we're walking through the houses, and I tell you things like, hey, this is not going to be good for resale because of this, or hey, this is going to be a positive for this. I said, because you're going to like working with me so much that when it comes time to sell that house, you're going to call me to come list it. And I don't want that to be the first time we're having a conversation about the negative things about selling your home. Because you're going to be like, where were you when I bought the house?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so I'm like already telling them, like, you're referring me or you're using me.
You're going
like,
to use me again, so
yeah.
don't make it.
So when
make a
so
good
when people want to
decision
like negotiate our compensation, right? Like it is 100% negotiable. Like I'll say things like, listen, I know that you're going to love working with me so much that you're going to refer me to all your friends and family. And like for me, that's what it's about. It's not about this transaction. It's about the relationship we're going to build. So in good faith, yes, I will, do this or whatever. Or, instead of charging an admin fee, I won't charge it or whatever it is. But like I'll make it work because I'm also a business person at the end of the day. And math is math, like, so I'm like, I'm not going to say something or do something to make me miss out on like a $15,000 commission check because we are disagreeing over a $495 admin fee or, whatever.
Yeah. So we can kind of jump down that for a second. So the real estate changed about a year ago? When was the
November
commission?
of 2024.
Okay, so it's been longer than that. It's been 2 years. So how has that affected your business and what was the change that occurred in 24?
Everybody went crazy.
Yeah.
So everyone went crazy because they didn't understand it.
Right.
So everybody gets in ups and arms whenever anything happens that's changed because, oh God, we can't have change. And it's like, there's some things that need to be changed.
Yep. Two times people will always complain. Stay the same or you change.
Yeah. So you're wrong no matter what. Yes. So at first it was very difficult because agents couldn't wrap their head around it. So the only question we would ever get asked as listing agents was, what are you offering for compensation? Never like, is the house available? Tell me stuff about the house. What is important for my buyer to know? None of that. It was all strictly about their compensation. And here's the thing is it's always been negotiable. And if people look at how money moves in a transaction, the buyer is financing all of that. So a seller has their house on the market, they're getting the proceeds, but the funding's coming from the buyer. If you didn't have a buyer with a loan or cash to pay for that property, you don't have any money anyways.
Right.
You don't have you're not going to walk away with a check. So when seller's like, well, I don't want to give away, X amount of percent, it's like, well, really the buyer's paying for it already in their loan. And so one, it was getting the sellers to understand that what they were hearing, because what they were putting out in the media was not correct either. Yeah. So it's 100% negotiable. In our contracts, from the very beginning, we just started writing in compensation negotiable depending on the offer that's submitted. I don't even know. So I just tell my client, when I do the net sheet for them, though, before we even sign the listing, because I want them to see the numbers, I always do worst case scenario and make sure I put enough commission and fees in there for the seller that they would typically have to pay if it's worst case scenario. Because that's something else I always talk to people about, worst case scenario. But agents just did not understand it. So I had agents at the very beginning that refused to show my listings because I didn't tell them an amount. And I'm like, no, listen, in the listing agreement, there is no amount for the buyer's agent. It's just put it in paragraph 12. And they couldn't, they're like, well, I'm not going to show it then. And I'm like, oh my goodness, tell me you don't understand the changes without telling me you don't understand the changes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes. It's just another negotiation item. And here's the thing is, buyer's agents have to have a signed buyer rep agreement with a buyer before they show them homes, right? It's legally required for them to do that. Now, it could be a one-time showing agreement or whatever. It could be just for that property. It could just be for the day, or it could be like a normal, 3-6 month, whatever you do. So here's the thing is, it already spells out how the commission is going to be paid there. It's just the buyer's only going to be responsible for paying for it outside of their closing proceeds and everything if the seller's not offering compensation. Or if the agent's not a good enough negotiator to negotiate it in the offer where everybody will agree, that's when you have an issue.
Okay.
So we figured out real quick the agents that were not very good because one, they didn't know how to negotiate it in the offer, and two, they would refuse to show your property without knowing the amount.
That's crazy.
Which, by the way, is against your fiduciary duty to your client.
I was just going to ask if
You have ethics.
Yeah,
We're held
like-
to. We're supposed to be to high. What I think is
and-
interesting is we're supposed to be held to this high level, but I can tell you there's a lot of things that happen in the real estate world that like I can't believe happens, and
Yeah, for
nothing
sure.
happens to those people. Like, yeah.
But it's super interesting that they would. I had something happen with a realtor once, and I only know because we had cameras up in our house, and it wasn't my intent wasn't to have the camera. We had them up because I was a cop, and I
Yeah.
was just like I just was a camera. But I
Paranoid,
overheard
yeah.
a conversation that happened, and then the buyer, the my agent never offered us the buyer's offer because she was dual making commissions off the other person, and when that transaction fell through, the house didn't sell. And so
Yeah.
that took me a hard. I was pretty angry, but luckily we had another offer that ended up coming in.
Yeah.
And it put us on a hard spot. But I was annoyed because we were trying to get out of the property quickly. And that
Yes.
transaction
And
came through.
she was the bottleneck.
And so I was like, oh, that man. And it was crazy because the guy literally walked in the house and was like, yep, this is the one. Just get this one. Because he was some tech dude moving into Austin, knew that he was going to go in there. And
Yeah.
he was single. He was like, yeah, this is perfect. Just make an offer. And I was like, why did we not get that offer?
Yeah.
And so I remember calling and asking about it, and I knew it right away. She was lying to me. I was like,
Yes.
oh, I see what happened. I'm
Yep.
like, okay.
So you bring up a very valid point that, so in Arkansas where I was licensed, what I noticed was when I was pulling up comparables and homes that sold, most of the time they double in their transactions up there. And my thought process is, so when I said that I had that buyer that came and called off the sign call and they bought the house, I didn't represent them. I had an agent. I have one agent on my team. And that's one of the reasons why, is because I will never represent both sides.
Isn't that is it a requirement that if you're doing both sides that you have to have? I thought it was like a requirement.
It has to be an intermediary.
Okay,
It
that's what
has
it
to
was,
be, so you have to
intermediary.
agree. Now your brokers, most brokerages, mine, they don't appoint an intermediary.
Well,
You just have to,
any way they want, right?
you just have to sign saying that you understand that your
Yeah.
client, your agent is representing both sides, and you both have to, all the parties have to agree. But when I sit down with the seller, because we talk about, because they'll always say, well, if you bring the buyer there, will you reduce your commission? I said, I will not bring the buyer. And they go, what do you mean? I said, well, if I have a buyer that's interested in this property, I'm giving it to an agent that's going to handle it because I have insider information with you. And I said, not only that, but when I sign a listing agreement with you, I have a fiduciary duty to you. So how can I morally and ethically and in every other way get you the best deal in the shortest amount of time, but then have a buyer rep agreement with this buyer to tell them everything opposite? I'm going to get them the best deal, the least amount of money for this house. I said, how can I do that in good faith and represent anybody? I can't.
Yeah.
I said, so I will represent you. I said, but if somebody comes and wants to put in an offer on my listings, I am keeping it in-house with them being under me. I said, because I don't want to risk sending it to an agent who's not on my team and not wanting to get to the closing line. They want to come in and like beat their chest and try to show their worth, and we're just going to negotiate the crap out of this or whatever. And it's like, I handed you a gift with a bow on it. Just take it and write the contract up. I don't want to risk that. Yeah, I don't want to risk that,
Right.
So we do keep it in-house for that reason, but like I don't represent them.
That's smart.
Gotcha.
And sellers, it's interesting. I had one that was like,
That's an unpopular opinion because I know plenty of realtors that definitely don't do that. So.
oh yeah, well our brokerage just made it mandatory where they won't allow you to represent both sides. They also will not allow us to wholesale or allow us to entertain any offers that are subject to.
Oh,
And I'm like, thank the Lord, because one, I hate them, and two, it's like, I mean, it's just, yeah, it teach their own. But and wholesaling is a whole other beast or whatever. So
there's
huge liability.
Let's jump into the. I could jump into sub 2 and wholesaling too. I have questions about that, but what are, like, we've talked a lot about the business aspects of it. What do you think your biggest, or is there a biggest lesson that you've learned from mistakes, or is there a mistake that stands out in your mind that you have made that you learned the most from, or is it a series of events, or is it just experience? Like, what would be an important learning lesson a realtor could be listening that was trying to get into
That's
this?
such a good question. First of all, I learn things every day,
Yeah.
usually through mistakes or from seeing what happens on transactions with other sides or whatever, and I see
I
how
wish
they.
there was a better way to learn than mistakes, but I'm the
I
same
know,
way. Like,
I know.
mistakes seem to be
And
the
most of my
efficient
mistakes are
teacher.
very expensive.
Yeah. Sure.
So I will tell you this: don't make the same mistake I did, which is when you started making more money, you spend more money. Because on paper, I made $1 million a year, and I can tell you our finances were not that at all. We were spending as much as we were making, and that's very difficult.
Stressful too. Like when you're trying to
Extremely
keep it-
stressful, because here's the thing: is I have a $50,000 a month lifestyle now. So like when I make $50,000 a month, I break even.
Yeah.
Like zero, so like that's very hard, because then what happens if, I have a slow month, then I have months where I lose money, and that's not good either. So that's a big learning lesson for me. And two, like I put this on my social media, and I'm a big believer of this. If I had to start my business over today, I would partner with an agent who's doing business like me and ask to be their production partner. Because one, you'll sit next to them, you'll learn everything you need to know about the business, and you're getting paid because they'll pay you commission off of their deals when you close, or like also a small salary. But you're learning their systems, their processes, how they talk to sellers, like how they talk to buyers, like how are they getting business. You'll learn everything you need to know about the business while you're still getting paid. That would be the route to take.
So is a production manager just typically a salary paid or an hourly paid person?
Yeah, it's basically like an assistant, but so they're licensed, they open doors for you, so they'll show property, they'll write contracts, they'll do everything. They basically become your right-hand man.
How much do people typically pay a production manager?
A production partner for me would make 6 figures.
Okay.
Because I would pay them a small salary and they would get paid,
Commissions.
at closing as well, off my commission. And so and here's the thing is the more the production partner takes on, the more I can focus on lead gen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Means I get more business.
So
And I
it's
get-
a force multiplier.
Yes, I can as an individual agent with the support I have right now with one agent as a showing agent, I could easily knock out 150 transactions. What's interesting is when I used to have 3 transactions, I used to be like, oh my God, I'm so busy. I have 3 transactions. Now I have 3 transactions. I start having a panic attack because I'm like, where's the rest of my money going to come from this month? To pay my $50,000 a month lifestyle. So what I think is interesting is that I can do 15 transactions at one time and not sweat at all because of the things I have learned to put in place, the systems, processes, and people.
What do you think the biggest key to that is? Just experience? Why was 3 contracts challenging and now 15 is just fine? Is it just the experience that you've created along the way, or is there something specific that you could say?
It's not realizing that the faster you can put systems and processes in place with checklists so you're not guessing on things, the easier it is.
Yeah.
But it's even better if you have somebody to delegate all of the tasks that are not money-making activities. Like, do these things need to get handled? Absolutely. Does it need to be handled by you? Is it an $850 an hour activity? Then I'm not handling it. I think virtual assistants is the first hire an agent needs to make. First hire, no question, is a transaction coordinator, because they will handle their contracts and everything, because you don't know contracts enough, because one, they'll write it for you, everything, and you can learn so much from a good transaction coordinator. You're putting your clients at risk, you're putting you at liability as well by not knowing what you need to do. The transaction coordinator will take that off. If you have a really good one, it'll make your life amazing. So that for sure. And then 2, the second hire you need to make is a virtual assistant. 1, because I get 40 hours a week worth of work out of mine. She handles all my back end office stuff, so she knows how to do everything except for go on appointments. She handles everything in my business except for the appointments and communicating with clients. And we pay like $750 a month.
Wow.
Because we hired her directly from a relationship I had with an agent in California.
That's awesome.
And so between those 2 people, it allows me to build out a 7-figure business every year.
For a much lower overhead.
Way lower. Because an in-house assistant's going to be $4,000 a month plus, probably.
Yeah. And you don't have an office. You're just,
I don't want somebody in my house sitting next to me, Yeah. Yeah. Like a Jesus, I would be like, you have to get up. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that would be my advice for that, for sure. I wish I had learned that earlier on.
Do you think, now when you say you wish you learned that, is it because you took on more of an overhead and tried to have more people or less people?
I got some very bad advice from a coach. So talking about business coaches, I had one business coach that taught me to build out a massive team, because that was the popular thing, was to build out these big, massive teams. And we lost our butt that year. I mean, we had 13 agents, and we literally almost
lost money.
We did lose money. I lost $250,000 in the first quarter of that year.
wow.
Because if your agents don't produce and you're giving them all your production because they tell you to give it to your agent so that you can get out of production, then we're all eating off of my production. But I'm only getting 50% of it because that's my split. So I'm handing my agents my business. They're going to close it. They're getting 50%. I'm getting 50%. But then just think about half my business is agent-to-agent referral. So there's a referral fee off the top of that. So now I'm making 50% of 75%, and they're not bringing anything in. That's where the issue is.
Yep, definitely.
And that's when I went micro team, and I was like the
So I
stepchild.
can relate to that.
Yeah, because we have almost the same structure when it comes to bringing on people, and that's exactly right. You start giving away your production to grow, and then they don't do anything.
They're not producing.
That's where production partners and showing agents come into play, because you get to keep your commission.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
Funny
sounds
how
like you
all
do
that
have a couple.
relates.
Yeah, all businesses have a lot of paths that cross very similar. Like you talked about early learning from other businesses. What is it that from the good hires that you have that work for you, like the virtual agent? How are you able to find those people and recognize, yep, this is a good hire? What do you look for when you?
I find them on social media.
Okay.
I post it on social media saying I'm looking for something, and I get more than enough responses. We do have like ads set up on Wise Hire because we want them to fill out the disc profile, want to see what their personality is. We talked about personalities earlier.
Which is important. There are a lot of technology out there, but if you're trying to hire people, there is a lot of psychological technology out there.
Like I can't hire somebody that's just like me.
Yeah, because you're going to clash.
We'll bump heads.
Yep.
And they'll want to take over,
Yep.
you know.
It's a PI test, personality index.
Yep.
Yeah. And on the test, like I was telling him, we don't need a test to show that Jesus and I are exactly opposite, but I'm all DI. I'm the driver and the idealist and the innovator, but I'm not the implementer, and I don't have the feelings part. And he's all SC, has no DI.
Yeah, well, after spending 2 hours with you here and then knowing Jesus for the last 5 years,
We're so opposite.
Y'all are so opposite. But
That's how it works.
Jesus has told me on multiple times, he's like, dude, you need to get to know my wife because y'all are so similar.
Yes, he says that.
So
He does say that a lot,
he's told me that so many times.
And he means it in the best way.
Yeah, no, for sure.
He means it in the best way. My husband is like genuinely like the best human ever.
He's a good guy.
He's a great guy.
With the person, is there anything else? Like, have you, how do I ask this? And clean this up and I'll edit all that out. How do you hire the people, and what, besides the personality test, you hire them? What are the process that you go through to hire that person, and how quickly do you decide to fire them if they're not working out?
Oh gosh. I fire very quickly. I hire kind of quickly too, out of necessity, and then I end up firing them because it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
So I'm not the best person to ask that question because I'm not the best at hiring.
No, well, part of being genuine is understanding. Like, I think that's okay because we've made the same mistake multiple times. You hire quick, and I've heard it from so many people.
Be slow to hire,
quick
to fire. Yeah.
I'm the worst at it because I get it, but like
I just need to take it off my plate. So it's like, okay, just take it, and then I just want to throw it at them, and then they don't do it right, and then it's like, oh, I gotta fire them.
Yeah, and I'm the one that like I'm like, it's on me that they're not succeeding. Like I put it on me, and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to help get them there? And sometimes it's not, right? Yeah. It's 100% on them, but he's taught me differently.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I would say I learned a lot of stuff from that. I need to ask more questions when I hire people, for sure.
What questions do you think would be important?
One question I heard that somebody asked, and I thought it was genius, is you need to ask people when they come on your team how long they can be in real estate without making a check before they have to get out.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Because the biggest misconception about our industry is people think they can just get their license, they sell houses, and they're going to make all this money. They think that it's not going to cost them any money, and they think it happens like that. But the average, it's like a 90-day cycle. So whatever you're doing now, you'll reap the benefits of it in 90 days.
Yep, that's right. It's about the same with our industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every once in a while you get transactions that are in and out real quick.
Yeah.
Repairs
For the most part,
that's the most part.
That's the exception.
Yep. Absolutely. And so you've got to be able to. I mean, when I started, I think I went 6 months without a paycheck.
Yeah. I think I got mine pretty quick, but I was still working full time, so I didn't need that income. Yeah. But that's where it ended up making me go from corporate world to real estate. Was I was making more money part time in real estate than I was in my corporate job as a CFO. Like, so whenever something happened and we didn't agree on it, it was very easy for me to be like, okay, well, I'll just go over here and do this then.
So do you have your MBA then? Or
No.
Is it, just math? Or
that's the other thing is I don't have a college degree.
Oh, really? Okay.
I worked my way up everything I've ever done.
That's awesome, especially to get to a CFO.
Yeah, well, they kept trying out CFOs with degrees, and they weren't working out, and they were like, well, you know what to do. Like, you know how to do it. Let's try you. And I was like, okay, so they did, and I was the one that was in that position the longest until I left.
That's awesome. And not because they got rid of you, because you were like, I'm
correct.
out. I'm
in fact, they tried to hire me 3 times back after I left. And I was like, one of the owners was like, well, I'm just going to say you're an assistant or whatever, because it's one of those, like, you know, all the guys have to run it and everybody has to be in agreement or whatever. So he's like, I'll just tell him you're my assistant. I was like, why would I come back as your assistant? I have an assistant.
That's terrible.
And he was like, you don't have an assistant. And I was like, I got to go. You know, like, I was not interested in going back.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's that analogy I told you in the beginning. You cross that line.
Yeah, like there's no going back.
I'm not going to go back to that. Like, that's what
now it's like, what is the next thing I'm going to do? And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Sounds like you got a plan. Sounds like the school is a pretty good.
I do want to build out this platform for new real estate agents so they can have a higher success rate.
Yeah.
And then just by default, it'll be an attracting tool for Real for them to come with me. Because if I'm doing this with them, they're gonna be like, well, I want to come with you at Real. And then, you know, it builds my network at Real, and that's another revenue stream as well.
And you can expand into it.
There's people at my brokerage that are not in production at all and make millions of dollars a year in their revenue share just from attracting.
Bringing in others.
Mm-hmm. They're really good at it. I am not so good at that, to be honest, because I don't reach out. I don't do any outbound prospecting for real estate, for my business, or for my network at Real.
Gotcha.
So it's like all everybody that's with me is people that reached out to me. Same thing with like anybody I've worked with, they've reached out to me. It's a good position to be in, I guess. But
definitely.
But it's not really, you can't really project. That's the downside is if you're always just like getting business as you answer your phone, I can't project how many agent-to-agent referrals I'm going to get this year.
Yeah, you can't track, like you talked about earlier, you know that if you get 20 inspector, or not 20
listing
appointments,
appointments,
you
then
know
I
that
get
you're gonna have
15
X amount
pending.
of
Yeah.
this. Like you're not going to be able to track those numbers if you don't track what's
Correct.
coming in.
So that's the only downside to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm out of cold calling. I've cold called for so long, it's great. Like I'm really good at it because I'm one of those people like if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna be really good at it.
Is
but
there anything
I
else
just
that
hate
you've had? It sounds like social media has been very implemental.
Open houses is a good one.
Okay, I was going to say, what else would, if there was another avenue that you would tell a brand new realtor?
Open houses. Do it every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday till you have too much business. You can't do it.
Really? Okay.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, so from my understanding, open houses are especially when you first start, you'll go do it for other realtors that don't have time for it.
That's what I did.
And they typically will pay you a small fee.
No,
Or
I
is
don't
it
pay you a
free?
fee.
Okay.
What you get is anything you procure. So like if somebody comes in and you get their information, like it's as
Gotcha.
good as the effort you put in.
Okay.
So like I'm giving you the opportunity. You get any leads that come in, they're not mine.
So, okay. So just not showing up and putting out a fruit tray and all that. If you're actually talking to people, getting their names and numbers and
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
so out of all the things that you could do if you were going to do, like if you couldn't do social media anymore,
It's
and
open
you
houses.
needed open houses. Huh.
Open houses for sure.
good advice.
100%.
Because I've heard of many.
If they say it doesn't
overheard
work, it's because
conversations.
they don't know how to work them.
I was going to say, I've heard it many times. That
But it's
that's not a good
probably
one.
like after you talk with me and you kind of look at those people, you think, oh, I think I know what the
So how
issue
do you
is.
work 'em?
So when they come in, I'm not like, oh, hey, welcome to the house. Thanks for coming in. I'm just like, sign in. I'm not like that at all. When they come in, I'm just say, oh, thanks for coming to, 4432 Willow Lane. I'm Shauna. If you have any questions, please let me know. And then as they're walking through the house, I'll drop things like, oh, this seller just completely redid this kitchen that, the built-in fridge is brand new, or they just completely renovated the whole backyard, or whatever it is. Like I'm talking about that stuff. And then they'll start coming and asking me questions. I'll start talking to them. I go, well, is this going to be like a primary property for you or like an investment? And they'll go, oh, it's a primary. Okay, so do you currently live in the area? Then it just starts questions. Do you currently live in the area? Oh, okay, you're relocating. Oh, where from? Oh, here's my relocation guide. Like having things like that. Like I'm very much so about value, and they're just by default are going to want to work with me. Like even people who come into the open house and have agents, I'll say, listen, I don't even need your agent's information. Is your agent looking for off-market opportunities for you and not just waiting for the homes to hit the MLS? And they'll go, what does that mean? And I'll say, well, this is what we're doing for our buyers. And I'll say, you know what? You're working with an agent. How about you tell me what it is that you're looking for? Give me your agent's information. I'll go out and find the listing and I'll send it to your agent. I'll represent the seller. She'll represent you as the buyer. But what ends up happening most of the time is they're like, man, like my agent's not doing that. And they're like, my agreement's going to be up in like 2 months. And if we don't find a house, like I'm going to be calling you. Like that happens all the time.
And I'm sure that you
wow.
also
So
get
you're
people there that don't have. I mean, when we were buying houses, we definitely went to open houses by ourselves. We were just kind of okay. Let's
But
go
did they
pique the
ask you if you
interest.
had an agent?
No, I had people.
So-
in fact, I can say that
You're
of
just
all
out
the-
working everyone
I never
else.
had anybody do that on an open house that me and my wife walked into.
Yeah.
Just going out to like test the market to like
Yeah.
look at these houses and like
Yeah.
figure it out. Because I understand how the realtors work, and I didn't want to call a realtor
Until you like knew
until
for sure.
I knew that
Yeah.
we're actually going to get a house, because I don't want to waste
Yeah.
your guys' time, and I know
Yeah.
that it costs money. And so I
Yeah.
was like, let's wait until we know. And then I found our house.
Yeah.
I'm like, get this one,
Yeah.
sell it.
So what's interesting is people will come in and they'll say like if this like because this is where I heard somebody say and I thought, oh, that's really genius how you ask it. So when someone says, oh, I'm working with an agent, I go, oh, you know what, real estate's a really small world. I probably know them. What's their name? And then they'll be like, oh, if they actually are working with a realtor or have one they're going to work with, like they know the name. And if they don't, they're like, and then you'll find out. I got a listing. True story. I got a listing from cold calling during the 100 listing appointment challenge to a for sale by owner. And he said if he ever got ready to list it, he would list it with his son. And I said, oh, well, who's your son? Like, this is a small world. Like, I may know him. And he goes, well, actually, he lives in Austin. He's actually like a part-time agent. He doesn't really do this, like, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, I said, well, how about this? I said, just to help keep that relationship intact, because you know how it is, like selling with your family could be very difficult. I said, what if you listed with me and I gave him a referral fee? That way he's still making money off of it. I'm handling everything. And guess what? He can see how I do everything and he can learn and like maybe take and implement in his business.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he goes,
So you just offered his son money.
you would do that?
It's a win-win.
And I said, yeah. So when people say I have a friend that I'm working with, I'm like, they're like, but we don't know if we want to work with them. Yeah, I completely understand. Like relationships are, tricky, especially when it comes to, money and real estate. I was like, this is what I offer for people. And I don't know any other agent who does. And I offer that. And they're like, seriously? And I go, yeah.
And
Then
you're
it's a
still-
win-win.
What is a referral fee?
That's so.
It's like
typically?
25%.
Okay.
So 25% for not even sending me. You didn't even send me like somebody just said that
Yeah.
they just want to make sure you're
drop
taken
your
care
name.
of.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know, but like, this is what I'm saying. Like, people are just so like, they don't think long term.
Yeah.
They don't think, what people don't understand is if you're transactional real estate agent, which means like you're just going out there and closing deals and then moving on to the next one, like, what are you going to do when that dries up?
Yeah.
Because you didn't focus on relationships, so you're not getting referrals, and you probably did a really bad job for them, and they don't even like you. They're probably telling people not to use you. Like, people don't understand that in markets like now, relationships will carry you so much further than any other thing that you have.
Yeah, we same thing in roofing right now. I mean, I think so. Our markets correlate very much.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys are busy, there's more properties transacting, and in
Yes.
Texas, that just means there's going to be more roofs going on because of the hail that's here.
Correct. Yeah.
And so in this market, it's very, very much. Now we still get repairs and we still have that, but it's slower this year than it has been in the last probably 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Last year was the slowest year in real estate I had.
And but what's funny is we're not slow.
No.
I don't mean that to be braggadocious.
Yes, but it's because of
just
the relationships that you built out and how you built your business.
I keep hearing complaints.
Because slow to me was 72 deals. You know, like.
Yeah.
And so like, I just laugh when I hear it. I shouldn't say I laugh. I hear it and I'm like, man, like I know that we're doing something right because our relationships are keeping us in business right now, and it's working.
Like,
and
even my seller in Dallas, like, she even said, hey, like, if we need to clear these items out and Kyle's able to do it, she goes, I don't even want to bother anybody else. She goes, we like him, we trust him because you trust him, and we would want him doing that too.
Super good people.
Yeah. And I always tell people that. So I always tell people, listen, if you become one of my vendors, like, I will refer you to everybody I know. Like, I will take care of you if you take care of my people. And that's why people, when they're in small business groups with me, they like being in my small business group because I will literally feed you. Like,
I tell people all the time, and that's probably my number one sell for a real estate agent when I do talk to them. I talked to the lady the other day that called us kind of out of the blue, and we got put in contact because of jiu-jitsu. Funny as that is, but jiu-jitsu contact. And for people listening that don't know, Jesus, her husband, does Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I've known Jesus now for probably 6 or 7 years, and that's how we know each other. Yeah. But because of just the conversation I had, like, look, let me just give you my spiel real fast. I know you may already have a roofer. If they don't pick up, make me your second call, and I'll do what I can. And just so you know, my number one goal is that your transaction goes through. I understand that I will make money eventually off of our relationship. I don't need to make it every deal. I'm here to make sure that your transaction goes good and that your client's happy. And if that happens, we're good. And so, and I really mean that. Like, I don't just say that and then don't do it. Like,
and then how many times have you told somebody that and then they came and used you?
Tons. Yeah. So
same thing in our industry. So I'll see where, like, people will, like, on our real estate pages, somebody will be like, I need an agent for Dallas or whatever. And then for whatever reason, I may not get tagged, which, you know, it happens sometimes. So I don't get tagged.
Can I tell you something funny?
Yeah.
That's what I said to Jesus for like 3 years.
Did you? Yep. He did not relay that information to me.
I did my best.
He did not relay that message to me. We would have used you 3 years prior. Yeah. So finally, but so when I see people say, oh, because I finally get in touch with that agent who's trying to find the referral, they go, oh, I already found one. I say, you know what? It looks like you already have an agent that you're going to be using for your referral here. But if you ever need a second option, I would love to be a second option for you if, you know, whatever. And I get so much business from that because just because somebody goes to one person doesn't mean it's going to be a fit.
Yeah. And legitimately, that person may not pick up and they're kind of in a bind, and people are by nature, I think everybody is the same. It's like, well, if I'm going to get it and you decide you want it now and you have it in your mind that you're going to go do it right now, and then you go to do it and it's like, oh, I can't, then it's like, okay, I'm going to go over here.
Next one.
Yes.
Like, next one. And
the thing about me is if I'm reaching out to you, whether it be about a car, a house, anything, it's because I already in my mind am buying it. I'm that type of consumer. So if you're not going to get back to me, I'll go to the next person. Because I already, like, Jesus already knows this. If I'm like, hey, we're going to go look at boats, he knows we're buying a boat. Because it's happened. And he, like, one day we were sitting at lunch and I was like, you know what? Caitlin's car's kind of getting up on miles. Like, maybe we should go look at cars. He was like, oh my God, that means we're buying a car today. And we were like literally sitting at lunch, and like an hour later we're signing papers for a new car for her.
But also our approach.
So answer your phone. You know what I mean? Like,
our approach to saying, hey, we'll be your second home is a very non-pushy, right? Non-pressurized.
Lowers
way.
Defenses,
Yeah, because our competition, right? The way they're doing it, they're like, oh, well, they try to talk down on that. Oh, well, do they do this? Do they do
and that's
that?
Something I also don't do.
Which is also a huge turnoff to a ton of consumers.
Yes.
It's like, that's might be a person that they've known for a long time, that they have a good relationship with, that they've obviously has given them good customer service, and now you're trying to talk bad about them or making them look bad.
So agents who work expired, they're notorious for doing that. One, they're super aggressive, and it's like at this point, like they're upset, like you need to back off, you know, like and ask them like what the issue is. Start asking questions and get curious, and then give them, you know, solutions. That's what they want. They had their house on the market, they wanted to sell it. But what's interesting is they will badmouth other agents, and so whenever they meet with me. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm not going to talk about other agents, but like, you know, what was your experience when you had it listed? Did you get feedback? Or what was the communication like? Things like, I just ask specific questions, but not about the agent. Yeah. And I get more business that way. That and being honest, I get more business by telling people their home is worth less than coming in and being a yes person and saying, oh, I'm going to price it like this. Because here's the thing is, and what I tell them is, if somebody else is coming in, we're all looking at the same data. We should all be within like the same 3 to 5%, depending on how we price our properties, how we run our business. If somebody's telling you something completely different, that there's no data to back that up, I would be questioning their integrity. I said, because a lot of people are hurting to get business right now, and they just want to have a sign in the yard, and it doesn't matter to them if they sell it or not. And I said, it does me no good to take an overpriced listing. I said, because yes, not only that, but I said, I have zero incentive to tell you your home is worth less. What I make is directly dependent on what I sell your home for.
Oh, that's a great point.
And I've gotten so many listings from that.
I mean, you can go into a business transaction with a possible client and either have no business or future business.
Yes.
And it's like, well, I want future business. And it's hard sometimes when you need business and you're out there just getting a ton of future, and it's not really converting. But man, with time, it turns into
just be consistent. You can be good at anything you do with any lead source in any business, doing anything you want if you're going to be consistent in it. If you want to work out, you want to lose weight, you got to work out on a consistent basis. You got to eat regular. That took me years to figure that out. I finally lost 120 pounds because I finally figured it out, I guess. You know, I was consistent in like staying overweight. But same thing on like, you know, my business, like I just do the same things every day. That's what I was telling you, is like my business is not very non-sexy. Like it's the same things every single day, just doing it. And then because I do those same things, I'm constantly learning how to like have different conversations, ask different questions.
There are two things that I've learned in doing business. One, it's not sexy. It is doing the same thing every day, day in, day out. And the second is by being consistent, you see growth and it will happen. It's like
you can't do the work and not have the results follow.
Yes. And that's the thing, is it'll take some time and you're like, man, I'm doing this. And then all of a sudden roof comes in, or a lead comes in, and another lead comes in, and then you get like 6 at once, and you're like, oh, that's like crazy.
It's like I have to remind myself that sometimes too. Is like if I'm doing something different or I'm doing something new and I'm not seeing the results right away, like I do the other stuff. One, I want to keep a look on it and see if it's going to have an ROI, because if not, I don't need to do it. Yeah. But I also I literally had to have this conversation with myself the other day, and Jesus was next to me, and I go, you know what? It's okay. It's like I know that there's no way that I'm not going to get results from the work that I'm putting in. Like there's no way. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, of course. And then everything just started.
We have the same conversation. Like we'll do all this networking and do stuff, and it'll be a week or two. We haven't had a lead come in, but literally last weekend, I think we had 5 come in. Yeah. It's like, cool. Yeah. Okay. Like,
because if you track it and you're looking at it going, man, I had 85 referral opportunities. Like, you're doing something right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. So.
It's funny how we correlate so much in all this.
I think business is just business.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I think if anything ever happened, like if I had to start over and do something different, I don't think I would be successful in anything else that I'd pivot to.
I agree.
Yeah. We talked about before the podcast. You were like, hey, could you see or something? And I was on, like, roofing, I can't say is my dream job. And I don't know if I had to do a different industry, I don't know what it would be, but I know that if I followed the same exact principles, that I would be successful.
Have the blueprint.
It's like, I know I could do it.
It's just flipping
It's just like, okay, I'd have to make a commitment and go do something else. And I also know, I won't kid myself to know that I could go do it without going 100% in. That's another thing that is super important. If you're going to be successful at realty or anything, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, is that if you don't make it your sole focus and go after it, you're just not ever going to succeed like you want, because it's really hard to be meticulous day in and day out and do the same thing if
you have 15 other things that you're doing.
80% of your attention is over here.
Yes. It's like agents who also get their lender's license. Like I've never had a good experience with an agent who is also a lender. And that's been
a very popular thing.
Well, here's why they do it, because they want to make all the money. But that's another thing, is like you're leading with like commission breath and your personal wants and needs, and not what's best for the client. So there's ways around that, because we make money on everything we do, loans, everything. So like, but there's a way around to be able to do that. I'm not a lender. I don't have a lending license. Jesus does. So like, we're able to do it that way. But like, they'll go get their lender's license because, and I see this online, because they'll say, well, they're not getting enough business in real estate. So let me get this straight. You don't know how to build a business in real estate. So now you're going to get your mortgage license, which directly relates to real estate. Like, do you think just by getting your mortgage license is going to be different? Like, no, if you're not putting effort into this. This is what I also tell people when they're like, I have to go get a job. Okay, how much money are you making for that? like you're making, $15 an hour. Okay. So, but if you took the effort that you would put into that job as a part-time job, or even if you went back into it and did real estate part-time, if you put the effort in that you would in that job into real estate, the ROI on real estate is so much
Grass
bigger.
is going to be green where you water
Well,
it.
100%.
and there's everybody wants to make $1 million. Nobody necessarily wants to work.
Million
for
is
that
now the
million.
new 100,000. Remember,
Yeah.
everybody wanted to make 6 figures, and then now
I
that's nothing.
was just about to say, I could go into any job and immediately in any industry, in anything, and I could, in the first year, I know I can make 6 figures, but now 6 figures is nothing. Like, you got to work at, like, it's 7 figures.
Yeah. Now it's 7 figures and up from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. And so, yeah. So I mean, it's just real estate is like anything else. You get out of it what you put into it. And if you don't take it seriously, this is my full-time job. This is my livelihood. This is how I build, hopefully, my kids' future, my husband's future, and everything, and to accomplish all the things I want to do. Then I take it very seriously what I do. And I think that shows whenever I work with people, because they say, I see how much you care. I see, what you do.
Hey,
It's good. It's good.
oh,
Yeah.
It's not related to anything.
And so people can tell when you're genuine. Like, I just am obsessed. So when I first got into business, I didn't realize until after I did the 100 listing appointment stuff. But my mindset now is different. Like, it was like, I'm going to work. I didn't have confidence working with people because I thought, they could just work with anybody and whatever. But now I honestly feel like I have a duty to people that they need to work with me, because I know what it's like working with all the other agents. And I honestly feel like I don't want them to get in their hands because they're going to have an awful experience, or they're not going to be looking out for them. Like, my attitude has completely changed. And that changes how I come across to people too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Taking the time to come on.
That was
Yeah.
great. Is there anything
Yeah.
any closing thoughts, anything that you would like to leave
And
here,
then
and tell people how they can connect with you?
Yeah. So I'm on social media. I'm Shauna Martinez, Realtor. You can just Google Shauna Martinez. I don't think there's very many of us. And yeah, so I'm very transparent in my business and my life. And so if you ever have questions about real estate, something in your business, thinking about getting into real estate or investing or any of that, like, reach out to me. I'm an open book, no obligation. You ask me anything, I'll give you anything I have to help you and help you in any way I can.
That sounds like a school community coming soon. We'll put links and everything. So hopefully we'll get
Yeah.
opportunity for people.
Yeah.